What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV. Here's the post-mortem for the Stamford Bridge defeat once again. I don't even know where to start, where to go, but it was.
He said he'll bring us a cup in the second season,
and he definitely did. He definitely did last night. And Postecoglou definitely outdid himself last night. And you know, look, it wasn't even the worst performance that we've seen in recent weeks, that's for sure. But Chelsea were just shocking. I mean, you're looking at that Chelsea side and you're thinking, wow, we can actually do something. And I actually went into the game a bit more positive, and I was like, look, Spurs can actually do something today. I've just got a sneaky feeling, but it's just that same old case of fool me once, shame on me. Fool me 1 million times. I mean, shame on them. Fool me 1 million times, shame on me.
There's too many. There's not enough sayings I could accurately depict what's going on at Tottenham right now, I think.
It's just so frustrating, man. Just so frustrating. I want to give a massive big up to the fans, though, last night, because way too often in recent weeks, like, dead away ends, dead home stadiums, but the away fans were brilliant last night. With everything surrounding it, 14th in the league, 15 defeats, whatever it is, going into the game. The fans were in complete full voice. It really was. And yeah, I actually enjoyed going to the game last night, barring everything that happened in the second half. I had a great time, particularly during the first half. You know, it was non-stop singing, really loud. Hardly heard a peep from the Chelsea fans as well. They tried their best, you know. They brought out a TPO for their big game, and yeah, it's just a shame the team and the manager couldn't match it on the pitch.
It must have been a great few minutes when we thought we'd equalised.
Oh, mate, it was scenes. It was absolute scenes when Pape scored, but
best moment of the season, probably.
One of
the moments of the season was a disallowed goal. In terms of atmosphere going into the game, obviously we were talking about it before. You know, Chelsea like to sing "F off Tottenham" before the game. I'm sure that was very loud before the game.
Yep, it was there, and we were singing "F off Chelsea" in that moment as well. So, look, it is what it is. Chelsea. This is a massive game for them. Look, it's a massive game for us as well. You know, big London derby, Chelsea, big rivals. It would just be nice to get one over them from time to time, but that just doesn't seem to happen. Record for ANGE in general in London derbies is nothing short of tragic, you know, against Chelsea and Arsenal specifically. It's just absolutely shocking. And, you know, the lineups came out yesterday and everyone's going around, yeah, this is our best team. We can actually do something tonight. I mean, the deluded ones were saying that. Most people were actually saying, yeah, it's Chelsea, we're not getting anything. But I was going around saying, yeah, we could do something tonight. But how silly was I?
Yeah, it wasn't a great performance. It wasn't great. Especially, I thought, in the first half, we were shambolic again. We didn't have a shot on target again in that first half, which we barely laid a glove on them. I think they showed a stat midway, like half an hour in, saying Maddison, Solanke and Son, I think it was, had less touches at that point than Sanchez, the Chelsea keeper, which is absolutely just diabolical. Obviously, they could have been won it up within 30 seconds, couldn't they?
How often does this happen?
Jackson over the top.
You could just reel the games off. I mean, the Ipswich one comes to mind, but it's just literally just one ball over the top, right in between Van der Ven and Romero, just splits our whole defence. Panic stations, Romero sliding everywhere, Van der Ven hitting it off Nick Jackson, hits the post, and you're just like, oh, what are we in for tonight?
Yeah. They were peppering us a bit in that first half. Obviously, Gusto had a shot that hit the side netting.
It was like the first 15 minutes.
Chelsea fans were celebrating. They thought it was a goal. I do saw that. They all thought that nestled into the corner, but it hadn't. Sancho obviously had that chance right at the end of the first half, which was an unbelievable save from Vicario. But Vicario, I thought, especially in the first half, had this air of uncomfortability and nervousness about him. He was doing some really weird things. I thought, first of all, his distribution choices were really bizarre. There was a moment where Udogie has two men on him and he passes it right to him. I don't know what he's thinking. Luckily, Udogie gets fouled and we get a free kick, but I don't know why at that point he's deciding to pass it to Udogie at that point. There was a moment Palmer puts a cross in and there's no one around him and he just punches it straight up in the air. Like, he could have easily caught it. He could have even left it and gone out for a goal kick, and he punched it straight up in the air, and it fell full to Jackson, and luckily he doesn't really make anything of it. They had another moment where Palmer gets to the byline. He puts it across the face of goal, and luckily for us, Udogie makes a brilliant challenge. And so we were definitely lucky to go in at 0-0. We didn't. I can't remember anything. I think there was one moment I can remember in the first half that we had. It was actually a really good move. Maddison plays a lovely ball out wide to Son. He puts the ball across the face of goal, and Sanchez had to claw away, but it wasn't even a shot. It would have probably fallen to Bergvall if Sanchez doesn't intercept it. But other than that, that's pretty much all we had in the first half.
Yeah, look, I felt like after we stemmed the tide of the first 15 minutes, I don't think there was many chances either end until that one you probably think of right at the end, where Vicario pulls off a good save. So I thought we were dealing with Chelsea fairly well for the majority of it after we kind of got past that initial period. But you're looking at the way we're playing and the way we're trying to hurt the opposition. It's been way too long now that we've been so toothless going forward. Like, there's no sort of patterns of play. There's no kind of... I don't know what the plan is anymore with Spurs. You know how, like, when Ange first came in at the beginning of the season, you saw what we were trying to do, and you saw a gung-ho style. You saw we were always able to create chances out of nothing and build up really nicely and maybe even sometimes hit them on the transition. But there's none of that anymore. There really is none of it anymore, and I just don't know what we're trying to do. It feels as like we've just lost all kind of identity under Ange Postecoglou, and it feels like we can't implement his game plan whatsoever. I don't even know what the game plan is anymore.
It's very individualistic, especially I feel, to be honest, around the whole pitch, but mainly I think between the midfield and the attack. There's just no like link up, 1-2s, little balls in behind. There's like asking, trying to break teams down along the penalty area. It's like we lose the ball so easily. We're very, very sloppy, and it seems as though you saw how Chelsea, as soon as they got the ball, 1-2 touches, bam, passes, and all of a sudden they're putting us under pressure. Like, it just seems for us at the moment, everything is based around little individual moments, Bergvall doing a little trick or something, but there seems to be no connection at the moment between that midfield and attack. It seems to be all based around just individual moments. Even some of the moments we had later on in the game that, you know, Sonny had a chance, it was all just down to a few individual moments. And it's hard to watch. And it just seems like a team at the moment who... They just look like yesterday. They looked like 11 strangers on the pitch. They didn't seem to be like a cohesive unit, and it was especially on the ball. I think defensively, yeah, we had our problems as well. We weren't especially great defensively, but at least you could see at times we were trying to be a bit resolute. We had 11 men behind the ball and stuff like that. But even then, they were still creating chances. But going forward was such a massive concern. Like, we just barely were able to put any sort of patterns together. It was so few and far between. I thought Caicedo was phenomenal yesterday. I thought he was probably man of the match. I thought
he had to go off at one point in the first half.
It was right at the beginning of the game, within 2 minutes, and he seemed to get over it. I think Spence gave him a dead leg, and he seemed to get over it. But Chelsea, what's it called? They looked so much more cohesive than we did yesterday. Caicedo was just breaking up everything we had in the middle. Maddison wasn't really doing much when it comes to linking up with Bergvall and Bentancur or Doggy or playing little link-up play. Solanke was so out the game. He couldn't really get involved too much. He did have that little nice pass to Johnson late on, which obviously set up the chance. But, yeah, that first half was just so, like, disjointed again. And especially given that we've had, you know, international break, and we didn't even have a game on the weekend, so players had a bit of extra time on the training pitch and all that kind of stuff. And you hear Vicario at the end of the game in an interview saying we didn't have the energy. I mean, why didn't we have the energy? There's no real reason for us not to have energy in this kind of game, it's just peculiar. And we know that Chelsea are not in great form. They were clearly yesterday even there to be got at, I felt, for sure, yesterday. I didn't even think they played that well. And we just couldn't really do much against a Chelsea side which were clearly not high on confidence and kind of there for the taking.
Yeah, if they're not high on confidence, what the hell are we? Because we're bereft of ideas, we're bereft of confidence. We cannot get ourselves up for any sort of game at the moment, and it's painful. It really is painful to see. And you're looking at the second half as well. You're thinking, you know, hold on for a little bit. We concede straight away in the second half. Easy goal for them. So easy. No one's tracking down. Spence needs to be stopping that cross coming in with all his might. He's just a bit lazy in that moment. The cross comes in. Van de Ven, what the hell is he doing? He's just like following Romero, and they're both marking the same player. A doggy not coming across, and I mean he would have had a man at the back post as well. I mean it's all wrong. Everything about that goal was wrong about everyone in the back four, and you're looking at it with the quality of player that we have on the pitch. It's like we don't have anyone better than these players. You know, Romero and Van de Ven, brilliant players in their own right. Udogie, we're saying one of the best up-and-coming left-backs in the Premier League. You know what I mean? Spence, we're singing his praises so much over the last 2-3 months. And then they just like show something like that in a massive game like Chelsea. These players have no sort of confidence to play in this system and for this manager anymore, in my opinion. And you're looking at Romero, like, Romero got bullied by Nicholas Jackson last night. I'm telling you, if he had an Argentina shirt on, there's no way he gets bullied by Nick Jackson. I'll tell you that. There's
one moment where the ball goes over the top. Romero's literally ahead of Jackson. He's like shielding the ball, and he just allows Jackson to just shove him off it. And all of a sudden, Jackson gets the ball, and he has a shot over the bar. Like I couldn't understand how Romero was allowing that to happen. We know that Romero is such a physical player. He's a player who plays to his strengths in that aspect, and he likes to bully the opposition, and he's just allowing Jackson to just shove him off the ball like that, like he's not even there. Like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing in that moment, when 9 times out of 10, you know, Romero deals that situation perfectly, and he's usually very comfortable in those kind of situations. And when I was watching it, I was like, what is he doing? How is he allowing that to happen? And Spence is trying to recover it, he slips, and Jackson ended up having a shot which was over the bar. But there was a few moments like that happened where Jackson, obviously Chelsea have been without him for a few weeks, so maybe they were buoyed by his return, but he was a massive threat, I think, throughout the game, running in behind.
Well, why don't we get buoyed by the players that are coming back? You know what I mean? We've been saying for months and months and months, oh, you just wait till our players come back. You just wait. And then it's just no-shows after no-shows after no-shows. Well, we say. Someone else has been saying.
I never said it.
Yes, you have bloody said it. You've said it every bloody week.
I was very clear. I said I don't think we're going to be amazing when he comes back, but I think we'll be better. That's what I said. And I look, we've won 3 games, but now we've gone 4 without a win. But yeah, look, I think the reality is they've been out for so long. So I think the reality is it's not good. It was never going to click straight away. But I obviously expect better than what I saw yesterday, for sure. Especially in those kind of moments. Romero's been back for a few games now. He should be doing a lot better. We've seen how good he was for Argentina, so there's no excuse for him being bullied by Jackson. We always see how good he is for Argentina. Let's not forget, by the way, Romero exactly wasn't putting in world-class performances before his injury as well. Let's just remember that as well, yeah? Mm-hmm. I agree.
But whenever he turns up for Argentina, it's world-class displays every single time.
Mm-hmm.
So this is
he did make a howler in the
but he made a howler, but he was brilliant throughout the whole 90 minutes, apart from that one moment.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I mean, he did some good stuff yesterday as well, but it wasn't all bad.
He was bullied by Nicholas Jackson
for a few times. It was,
and it wasn't just one moment.
No, it was a few times. Yeah, I agree.
Like, you would never see him be that weak in an Argentina shirt. No chance.
In terms of how the second half went, though, obviously. Bergvall, I thought Bergvall was having quite a good game.
Yeah.
Bergvall and Odegaard, who was pretty anonymous. I didn't mind him going off anyway. Yeah. But obviously there was a flashpoint. Bergvall goes off and Sarr comes on. The away fans boo the substitution.
Very loudly. Very loud.
And they start saying, "You don't know what you're doing."
Last night was... You've heard like kind of murmurings throughout away ends and stuff about ANGE, but last night was the first time I felt like an away end was in complete unison, kind of like, look, this manager just needs to go. And it all came to a head at that moment when Bergvall goes off the pitch, because he was our best player. He was the only one kind of driving the team forward. And this isn't a new thing with Bergvall. We've seen this for weeks now, where he's the only one with that kind of drive and that passion to say, look, I'm going to take this game by the scruff of the neck and I'm going to drive this team forward. And he was doing that yesterday at Stamford Bridge. And they take him off. I thought at that moment in time they should have taken Maddison off and brought on and kept Sarr and then put Bergvall in kind of Maddison's spot. But he takes off Bergvall. Massive boos from the away end.
Was that his Mora Bergwijn moment?
Very well. Well, clearly not, because he's still here.
True, fair play. I didn't agree with the decision at the time anyway. I didn't understand it. He was our best midfielder. He said that he felt Bergvall was running out of energy, so he had to take him off. And obviously he was ill last week, wasn't he? But he's been back in training for a few days. And he was our best player. He was definitely our best player. I thought he was the only one showing a bit of quality on the ball. There was that one moment, I think it was in the first half. He just wriggles in between two players, gets us on the front foot. I think he had a shot that was blocked from the edge of on the box when he cuts inside, and he was most likely to make something happen for sure. So I didn't understand the decision to take him off. Although I do think it coincided with probably our best spell of the game in that 10-minute spell after those subs were made. We did all of a sudden. Look, obviously they scored. They scored. What did they score? 50 minutes, and then he made the sub on 60, and then we scored on 65.
Yeah.
So I thought when he did make those subs, all of a sudden we did look a lot more threatening. Whether it's because of the subs or not, you can make your own conclusions. But it did coincide with probably our most threatening moment of the game. All of a sudden, I think a doggy was getting to the byline, had a few moments.
Our goal was the 71st minute.
71st minute. And when were the subs?
64th.
Okay, so yeah. I thought just before we made the subs, and then probably until we scored, and maybe a few minutes after, that was probably the moment we most looked like scoring. And maybe a bit of momentum might have been shifting. Obviously, we had we didn't have many clear-cut chances, I would say, but we had a few really good moments for cutbacks and stuff like that, which had a few openings. And then obviously we get the goal, and then the big moment happened. We scored the goal. It was a good bit of pressing from Solanke and Sarr, but obviously Sarr ended up being a foul, which it was a foul. We'll get into that, but he had the shot. Sanchez makes a hash of it, goes into the back of the net. It was definitely our nothing, that goal, and we looked like we'd had an equaliser out of nothing a bit.
The whole thing was like a pantomime. It was just all so classic, you know what I mean? Because the manager makes a change, the fans boo the manager really loudly and really ferociously. From that change, Spurs get a little bit better. From that change, the guy that the manager brings on and the sub that the fans booed, he scores a goal from 30 yards.
You got Son shoving him towards the away end to celebrate.
Unbelievable hit, right? And everyone's like, yeah, take shots. And that goes in the back of the net. They're all going mad. The fans are going mad. The players are going mad. Ange is looking over to the away end, cupping his ear and waving to the away end, being like, "Oh, that proves you right for booing me." And then we have to wait.
Do I know what I'm doing now?
Exactly,
kind of thing.
Exactly. And then after 6 or 7 minutes, the goal gets cancelled. Sarr gets booked. And it's all back to square one again. And then it's an angry away end.
You don't know what you're doing.
It's just. You just cannot write this kind of stuff.
It's the most Spursy thing. That would only happen to a Spurs manager to goad the fans for a decision he makes and it ends up being ruled out. That is... only these things happen to Spurs. It's like the most Spursy moment you're ever likely to see. But yeah, I don't know what Ange is doing when he's... I mean, you have to have some humility. Honestly, have some shame. I've defended him, but the reality is we are where we are in the league. We're 14th. And... cupping your ear to the away fans if you've proven anything by one of your subs scoring when first of all, it's only an equaliser. Second of all, a 1-1 draw doesn't even move us up the table, doesn't even get us above Man United, who have been shambolic. I don't know what he thinks he's proving or what he's celebrating, and what he's doing as well. It's what are you doing? Trying to make your own support look stupid? Is that what your goal is here? But trying to say, look how wrong you are. Look, I do know what I'm doing. Look at me, who's laughing now, kind of thing.
That's
I just thought it was ridiculous.
Said that he was just trying to celebrate a goal that we scored. Do you buy that?
I don't buy it. To be honest, because
and if you don't buy it, who the hell is buying it?
I don't buy it because first of all, he's never done that before. First of all, I guess. Well, I don't remember too many times we've sung that substitution at his, but maybe it's happened more. I can't remember too many times. But
apparently, the last time we sung "You Don't Know What You're Doing" was to Nuno.
Maybe, yeah, that might be true. But I think what was I going to say? Yeah, so he's never done that before. That's not really an action you want when you've just scored a goal. You don't do that to the away end and start waving to the away fans and cup your ear. That doesn't seem like a natural reaction to try and pump up the fans. You either pump your fist or you go like this or something like that.
What a natural reaction was to pump up the fans is what Sonny did when we scored. Everyone's
Yeah.
going on at Sonny saying, "Oh, he's also trying to goad the fans and shushing the fans and all like that." He went up to the away end and went like that, like, "Come on, come on, come on." That is a reaction to pump up the fans, not what Ange did.
I completely agree. And yeah, by the way, we just put on record. I kind of aired some rumours yesterday on the fan show that Sonny had been shushing the away fans or anything like that. Turns out it's absolute rubbish. There's no truth to that.
It was opposite.
It was, to be fair, look, it was flying around social media. I hadn't seen all the footage, and I thought it might, I did say it was a rumour, but it turns out, I've seen the footage now of the full celebrations of the goal. There's absolutely no truth to it. So anyone saying that Sonny was shushing the away fans is just not telling the truth. It didn't happen. I don't know where it came from. Someone's just trying to rile people up on social media by saying it, but there's absolutely no truth to it. Or someone misinterpreted it or whatever. There's absolutely no truth to that. So I just want to put that on record. But yeah, I mean, I was baffled by what I saw from by Ange on the touchline, him doing that. Yeah, in terms of, I just don't believe what he's saying. I think he's trying to get himself out of a sticky situation. Maybe he thought like people wouldn't pick up on it, and that's why I know he was surprised to be asked about it on after the game. But yeah, I thought for sure that is not a natural reaction to your team equalising, is to basically turn to your away fans. Usually, maybe if the home fans are singing "You're getting sacked in the morning," and then your team equalises, you do that to the home fans. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But you don't. If you're doing it to your own away fans who are singing "You don't know what you're doing" and all that kind of stuff, right? And you're basically essentially trying to make them look stupid by cupping your ear, saying, "What are you saying now? Come on, what are you gonna say now?" And the goal gets ruled out on top of that. I mean, it's absolutely bizarre. It's a circus, it's embarrassing. Yeah, absolutely embarrassing. And all it does is foster more toxicity and fosters more division.
It's like, just stay focused on your job. You know what I mean? You're 14th in the league. You're going for a record amount of losses in the Premier League as Tottenham manager. Like, have a bit of shame about you, man. It's ridiculous. I'm telling you, the team are losing confidence week by week. We ain't getting any better. We're getting worse. We can't create chances. Like, the team are bereft of every single little facet that we saw from any sort of Ange Postecoglou team playing well. We're struggling to do anything. We've got big games in the Europa League coming, thick and fast now. Just like, I think we need desperate change right now. If we've got any sort of hope, if we change the manager, then don't get me wrong, I don't think we got a hope anyway, because I don't think we're getting any decent manager in. But in the current state that we're in, with the team dropping in confidence week by week, with us losing week by week, with us not being able to create any sort of chances, how do we expect to go through in the Europa League? Like, the manager needed to go last night, in my opinion, and what he did last night on the pitch towards the away fans just compounds that feeling and just confirms it in my mind. Like, this project, this thing, whatever we've got going on here with Ange Postecoglou is not going anywhere, and he needs to be sacked, and he needs to be sacked before Frankfurt.
The reality is, when you're doing that towards your own fans and you're literally causing division between your own fans, that only goes one way. It's very hard to win that back, and he's trying to cause more ill will towards him. I don't understand what he was thinking by doing that. I know he's saying he was celebrating a goal, and if that was his intention, then look, whatever. But I don't believe it was. I can't really say that was his intention by what I saw. I can't say anything other than him trying to goad his own fans, which is completely unacceptable, especially with the position that we're in. It's understandable if he was doing a decent job. I mean, I would still say it's unacceptable. I think it would be more understandable if he was doing a decent job and he felt he was getting unfair criticism, and then he was doing that. But the reality is, we are where we are in the league. We are 14th in the league, and we've lost 16 games now in the league. And he's trying to goad his own fans to suggest that he's like that the criticism and the fans, what they're airing, is unfair to him, which is it's completely ridiculous. It's a completely ridiculous thing to think, and it goes to show for me where his head's at. And it's kind of trying to make that moment all about him in a way by saying, I know. In the context, I can understand why he feels vindicated by the fact that the sub that he made scored. But the reality is, it doesn't. First of all, it wasn't even like put us in the lead. It was only to equalise anyway. So it's not like it would have been like it completely changes that much in the game. Just makes it level playing field. And there's still 20 minutes to go. So we could have, maybe we could have conceded another goal. Imagine if the goal would have stood and he does the ear cupping, we'd go and lose the game anyway. Like how embarrassing as well that would have been, even though how embarrassing it was.
It probably would have happened.
It was probably it might have happened. I just think when you're doing that kind of thing, I think that tells me he's not dealing with the pressure, what's been put on him at all well. And when you're fostering division between your own fans, that has to be a breaking point for me.
So?
What are you asking me here?
You know exactly the question that is coming.
Anyway,
now.
Don't we have player ratings
You
today?
said last night you had to sleep on the decision whether you're Ange in or Ange out. I think the majority of the fan base now has got to be Ange out. It definitely felt like that in the away end. I am done. I am completely done. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of this conversation. I'm tired of watching this team just get through games and get beat every single week. I'm tired of watching this shite football and us barely being able to create a chance with the gung-ho manager, by the way. The manager needs to go. That is my opinion. What is yours?
He needs to go.
Oh!
He needs to go.
You heard it here first, people. Sim is
gotta
officially
go.
Ange out.
I think if it wasn't for the Ear Cup, I probably would give him that Europa League. I would say he needs to stay in charge of the Europa League. And I still think probably he's our best chance for it. But the reality is he's got to go. You can't be doing that to your own fans. And you can't be expecting to stay in a job. You're literally goading your own fans. You're literally fostering negativity. You're the one causing it. And I understand that, the excuses and all these kind of things. In terms of the way we played in the game last night, the reality is I know we didn't play well, and I know it wasn't a great performance. It was a narrow defeat. Son had a chance late on. It could have been one of all these different things. And not that we would have deserved it. It would have been against run of play, but I would have been willing to overlook that to give him an opportunity in that Europa League tie because he's got us here and all that kind of stuff. But when you're goading your own fans, when you're literally fostering negativity and toxicity within your own fan base, you're literally trying to this is a point in the season where we've been through so much awful defeats and so many awful performances and so much basically so much shit this season. And you have to be doing your best to foster unity and try and have a semblance of let's just get through to the season and try and create a bit of unity between the fans. And he's basically going the opposite way. And he's basically causing more negativity and he's making the whole situation about him. And he's got absolutely no shame about cupping his ear to the fans when in reality we are where we are in the league. That's unacceptable to me. Completely unacceptable.
You know what, Sim? It's been a long road to get here. It's been a long, old road, and
he's
hard
cracking
road.
under the pressure.
It's been hard. It's been hard over these last 2 or 3 months having these arguments, but it's finally good to be back on the same side once again. Look, we're all Tottenham fans. We all want the best for Tottenham, and I believe this is what the best for Tottenham is, to move on from this manager. I felt like that for a while, but I had been willing to give him the Europa League. But the breaking point is here. We're at the breaking point now, and
the reality is he is still here.
He is still here, yeah.
He is still here. He's probably going to be in charge for Sunday. Wherever, we'll see what happens on Sunday. We'll talk about that later. But then, if he gets through the Frankfurt tie, then what? Are we going to sack him? We're not going to sack him, are we?
No, but look, there's a big chance we lose this week getting to Southampton. There is a chance.
There's a chance. I wouldn't say a big chance, but there's a chance, I guess.
I mean, you look at Southampton, right? They gave Crystal Palace, who are on brilliant form, particularly away from home, like a great game. They were minutes away from beating them.
Yeah, I don't think we lose on Sunday.
Yeah, but you didn't think we would lose against Ipswich. You didn't think we'd lose against Leicester.
No,
and we did.
Yeah. No, it's not impossible. I'm just saying I don't think we will.
But look, as they say, as some wise men say, it doesn't matter how long it takes for you to get there. There's always a tipping point for everyone. And Sim is finally there. Sim is officially Ange out. And
he needs to go.
He's got to go.
He has to go.
He's got to go.
When you're literally firing against your own fans. I don't know what he's trying to achieve. You can't be doing that. Whatever excuses he's going to put out, or reason, or whatever, it's unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. And it's a horrible look as well. And I think I don't know what his thought process was in doing that. And that when I saw that, even if the goal stood, it's still unacceptable. Like there's absolutely, and he's been left with egg on his face completely. So he can't stay in a job after that. And if at that point, you know, the feeling is you're basically trying to cause more toxicity. You know, you got to be taken out the firing line. And even if Mason comes, look, I don't think things get much better right now if Mason comes in from in terms of achieving what we want to achieve in the Europa League or anything like that. But maybe it takes that little bit of focus off the managerial situation, the toxicity in the fan base. Do we, like, for example, if Mason was in charge last night, do we get some of those scenes in the away end that we did, and all those kind of stuff, and all the anger? You might just get some apathy. And would I rather apathy than anger right now? Potentially, maybe. I don't know.
The reality is, I feel like this whole ANGE thing is just taking away from the focus of where the focus needs to be at this football club. We're rotten from top to bottom. The fans are infighting. The fans are going at the manager. The fans are going at the chairman. Everything is wrong at this football club. The players can't get up for any sort of game. It's the most toxic I've seen it. I said it last night on the fan show, since the late 90s when I used to go with my uncle sitting on the Park Lane, constant Sugar and George Graham chants to get them out and stuff like that. And it feels like we're getting back to that kind of situation, and it's not where anyone wants to be. Big protests are happening on Sunday, and anyone that wants to get their voices heard, I suggest that you get down there. It's going to pull big numbers again like it did last time, hopefully this time even bigger. But that is where the number one focus needs to lie, because it's all happening on his watch. And Daniel Levy is the main problem at this football club. As much as we want to talk about Ange Postecoglou, yeah, he is a problem, and he's the one that's going to be the first and foremost one to go, because he's the first one that can go. But the reality is, it's manager after manager after manager, and Daniel Levy's the one that can't. He's the one that can make this all better if he makes the right decisions. And he's the one that needs to ultimately take the flak for everything. But right now, this Ange Postecoglou thing is taking that kind of attention away from it.
Yeah, and I think that's absolutely right. And I think the focus is all on Ange, because he's obviously currently the figurehead of the footballing side. And yes, and I think he's not doing a good enough job anyway. But I think at the end of the day, it's just not a coincidence that this keeps happening at this football club. A lot of these managers have done brilliant jobs before coming to Tottenham, have done brilliant jobs after coming to Tottenham, but they just haven't been able to do a good job at Tottenham for one reason or another. And there's just one common denominator, and it's the hierarchy and how we run things and how we do things. And the reality is, I know they tried to go in a different direction when Ange got appointed, but at the moment things are getting worse and worse. And you know, you can't expect fans to be on board and be more patient about the direction you're going in when we've gone from a team, even you look back to where we were under Martin Jol, we're even like well behind that kind of level. That was in 2005.
We're back to pretty much where we were when Levy took us over. I know we're in Europa League and we hadn't had European football for a long time before Levy, but you're looking at the league form and the league position and the matches week in, week out, the toxicity within the fan base and throughout the whole club. It seems as though we're back there.
Well, it's never been more fractured, this club. You know, you got players like Romero, Sonny, Decky inferring things about the board. You've got Ange going at the fans. You've got fan protests against the board. You've got Ange snapping at reporters in press conferences and fans. You've got Ange snapping at fans. You've got you got players and fans having players abusing the fans after the game and all this kind of stuff. It's just everywhere you look is so fractured at the moment, like completely, and it's going to take a lot of rebuilding. I don't know how we rebuild it. And I don't know how you do that. It's going to take a lot of work. And I don't know what a new manager does, to be honest, right now. I don't know how much it helps.
New manager doesn't do much, but I think what it does do is take away that certain at least it takes away one element of toxicity, and that's the one between the fans and the manager. And I think that's a big one that needs to go, because that means attentions can just be on the sole kind of where it needs to be, and that is the ownership of this football club. And I think protest, you need to make your voices heard. All fans around the world need to make their voices heard, and even ones that are not making their voices heard but feel like they should be, Make your voices heard, people, and I think like the more people that do, the more powerful we are. So
I was watching Vicario's and Maddison's interviews last night, and their body language, I mean, they just seemed lost. They seemed so lost. They seemed like numb. They were saying it was like they were saying the right things with but there was just nothing behind their eyes. You know what I mean? They were saying, yeah, it's disappointing. The fans have a right to be angry, all these kind of things. But like, it was just almost as if like they didn't believe what they were saying, or I don't know what it was. Like Maddison, I mean, he was outwardly saying he didn't want to be there. I don't want to be here to answer your questions. But he was like kind of also saying it with his body language as well. He was like, I'm sure fans don't want to listen to me right now. They don't want to hear what I got to say.
Probably right, because I didn't listen to it.
Yeah, I listened. Well, I listened to it, and he just seemed, his body language to me seemed like a guy completely devoid of ideas and just seemed completely lost in this current moment. And that's where we are at the moment. And I'm sure, look, we said it before, Romero said that in an interview in Argentina, and I'm sure he says that in the dressing room as well. And I'm sure it's a sentiment in the dressing room about the ownership and all these kind of things, about how the top clubs always sign big players to push themselves on, and we always are lacking behind in those kind of things, and we don't do that. And I'm sure that's a sentiment that's always in the dressing room. Danny Rose said it. I'm sure he wasn't the only one in the dressing room feeling that way as well. That time,
it's not the first squad that felt like this.
Exactly. So,
managers as well, Conte, Mourinho.
Is there a point when you go, we have to have a discussion about when you talk about has other players playing for the manager? Maybe is there a point where you're saying other players playing for this club, if you know what I mean?
Yeah. But it's hard to play for this club when the club aren't doing enough to get the players playing for the club, if you know what I mean.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, maybe there is a massive sentiment.
That's why we're just rotten to the core. That's what we are right now, and it's hard to see a way out of it without massive changes right from the top. And that's the reality. So I think that's the match review from last night. Sim is officially ANGE out, people. You heard it here first. And let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. Got a couple of super chats to get into. Eva says, Levy in. He is official financial master and did good.
What?
Don't know about that one.
Apparently the Paratici move to Milan is now officially off. I just read.
Is the Don coming home?
Is the Don coming home? Oh, well,
to save Tottenham.
Does he want to come home?
What, to Juventus?
Juventus, yeah, he's probably going back to Juventus. That's home.
And a members chat for Brian Daigle. He says, I was in the studio when Sim finally said the line, Ange Postecoglou out. He's got to go. I feel like royalty.
If we get past Frankfurt, though, back in.
Don't start, Sim. Don't start. It's been such a nice few minutes. You can't look. I've said what I had to say. Yeah. You can't do that. You can't do that to your own fans. You can't pick a fight with the fans and survive that. No, can't do that. All right, let's move on to player ratings from the 1-0 defeat to Chelsea last night. We're going to start off with Vicario. Sim gives him a 5. I gave him a 6. The only reason I was thinking 5, the only reason I put him up 1, because I did think he made some good saves to keep us in the game yesterday, particularly that one at the end of the first half. But yeah, in the first half particularly, I just thought, like, I don't know what he was doing. His playing out from the back was causing us all sorts of problems, flapping at balls coming into the box. I mean, he just looked all over the place at times yesterday, to be honest. But I did think his shot stopping was on good show again. Yeah, he made a couple of saves I can remember of note. Well, definitely the one from Sancho was actually a world-class save, so I give him massive credit for that. That might be up for like save of the month or whatever, because that was a phenomenal save. Is that a thing? There is a thing, yeah. Raya just won it. Oh, okay. So I think he'll definitely be in contention for that. I think it's a phenomenal save. One-handed, heading for the top corner and to tip it over. So phenomenal that was. The other one from Palmer, you do expect him to make that save. But he had this air of just nervousness, and he seemed like he wasn't on top of his game yesterday. Punching the ball in the air when there's no one near him. Poor distribution decisions, passing the ball out of play at times.
He was making weird decisions for a few times, especially in the first half, as you said. I think the second half he calmed down a bit, but first half he was a bit all over the place, apart from that really good save. So nearly cost us a goal as well with that punch. So yeah, I gave him a 5. Wasn't a great day for him, but look, I'll give him credit because it was a brilliant save from Sancho.
Yeah, look, we say it wasn't a brilliant day for him, but without Vicario in goal, if we had like Kinski in goal yesterday, we're probably losing 2 or 3.
Maybe, yeah.
But anyway, let's move on to Jed Spence. 6 all round for Jed. I thought he dealt with Sancho really well, to be honest. And I think his one-on-one defending, top notch, really is. Sancho got no spare change out of him probably throughout the whole afternoon. But in terms of going forward, I don't think he was able to get forward. He didn't impact really too much going forward. And he works really nicely in the tight spaces to get himself out of trouble sometimes. But it's that defending for the goal that we conceded. He's got to be getting out quicker, out to the flank and blocking and busting a gut to block that cross. And he was a culprit in conceding that goal yesterday.
Definitely. And you actually watched the goal, the move back. Sancho's to his left, so maybe he's thinking, I need to mark him. But actually, Sancho had Bentancur and Bergvall both on him. So he actually had 2 players on him and kind of who was marking him. So there was actually no need. When the ball comes out to Palmer then takes a touch, lines up the cross and swings it in. Spence had so much time to get over there, especially how quick he is. He has to go full pelt and making sure that either he's rushing the cross or he's blocking the cross and making sure that it's not perfect. And he was just lazily just kind of ambling his way over. There was no need to kind of do that. I thought it was ridiculous from Spence. I don't know why. But I actually thought he dealt with Sancho pretty comfortably throughout most of the game defensively. There was that one moment also in the first half, I think it was near the beginning of the game, he does like this a kind of sweep in between 2 players, which was a marvellous piece of skill, which broke free.
He's so good at that.
Yeah, but unfortunately he then overran the ball and gave away to Casado on the same movement. But I thought defensively had a really strong game, backed himself in those one-on-one situations, and it was quite good. Actually had to move to centre-back for a bit of the game and did okay for the last portion of the game. But yeah, going forward, it didn't really affect the game.
I didn't get that why we put Spence at centre-back. I mean, why didn't he bring on like Gray, put him there, or Davis and put him there?
I can't remember what the substitution was. He got because he brought Porro on.
Yeah.
And Van der Ven had to come off. So maybe he didn't want to make 2 subs. I don't know.
Porro came on for Van der Ven.
Yes, I'm saying, Porro came on for Van der Ven.
And Tell came on for Maddison.
Because he wanted to bring Porro on. So I'm saying he would have had to make 2 subs. Maybe he didn't want to make 2, I don't know.
Yeah, but we have a back 4 of Udogie, Spence and Porro.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to bring Porro on, surely the planned sub wasn't to take off Van der Ven.
It wasn't planned.
That's what I'm saying. So if you're going to bring on... You don't have to bring on Porro if you're forced into a change.
But he clearly wanted to bring on Porro, I don't know.
There's got to be a reason, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because he wanted probably his ability going forward in the final third.
But then you lose it with like having Spence at centre back. Just don't make sense. Anyway, let's move on to Cuti Romero. 5s all round for Cuti. Came under a lot of pressure yesterday. I thought, in terms of the physical battle against Nicholas Jackson, I thought he failed. There were some good moments in there, and he did defend well and put in a few really good challenges and a few nice little dinks into the midfield. But yeah, I thought it was poor all in all from Romero. I was expecting a lot more from him, especially having him back with Van der Ven for the most part of the game. And he's got to be doing better in terms of that. We know like Romero is such a physical centre back, so you can't get kind of physically overawed by Nicholas Jackson. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I think Jackson was giving him a tough time, especially from the first minute, catching him out over the top. There was one moment where a ball gets played in behind. Romero literally has control of the situation. He's ahead of Jackson. He's literally about to take the ball, and Jackson just shoves him off the ball and just nicks it off him, as if like this isn't a guy who's a fantastic centre back. He was just as if he wasn't even there. It was actually embarrassing to watch at times. I think he did grow into the game a bit more, especially in the second half. But the first half, he was just a bit shambolic. Defending for the goal as well. He has to be communicating with Van der Ven. He has to be looking over his shoulder. He's caught ball watching. I know it wasn't his man who scored, but still, he has to be organising the defence a lot more. People have to be shouting at each other, speaking to each other. No communication there. His passing out the back, wasn't particularly impressive on this occasion, I thought, as
A
well.
couple of nice dinks.
Yeah, it wasn't horrendous, but we've seen a bit better from him. Wasn't a great game from Romero. Wasn't like the worst, but it just wasn't good.
Yeah. Mickey van der Ven up next. Sim gives him a 6. I gave him a 5. I thought it was a poor showing for the most part for Mickey. Didn't see those like recovery kind of challenges as often anyway as you saw them kind of on a regularity. I thought in the first kind of minute when Jackson looks go be bearing down on goal, I thought it was poor defending from Van der Ven at that point. And I felt for the goal that we conceded, I just don't know what he's doing. I don't know why he's going for the same man that Romero is. It just made no sense. You got 2 men on 1 player, then you got a free man in the middle of the box, which was Endo Fernandez, who ended up scoring. I just thought it was such poor defending from someone like Mickey van der Ven, who we put so much hope in. He's been brilliant for us every time he steps off foot on the pitch, but I thought yesterday he was pretty poor.
I thought it was a bit better than Romero, but it still wasn't at his very best for sure. I thought some of his passing was pretty good. I thought some of the times actually he was asked to do a duel in the middle of the park. He was actually quite good, but yeah, he kept getting caught out in behind, which is not like Mickey van der Ven. He's usually quite good, especially in the first minute. I thought definitely the way Jackson got away from him wasn't great.
Must be that
to be
running
honest.
style.
Yeah, potentially. I don't know why that happened, but it's not like Mickey to allow a striker to get away from him like that. So that was a bit concerning. The defending for the goal wasn't great at all. Going for the same man as Romero had, no communication about who's picking up which man. Romero should have been goal side of the attacker. Van der Ven should then be picking up the guy behind him. They both end up going for the same guy, and all of a sudden ends out a free header and it was a goal. So ridiculous defending. And then obviously he did pick up a little knock near the end of the game, it seemed, and didn't end the game particularly comfortably and had to be taken off. So let's hope nothing too serious. But yeah, I thought a bit better than Romero, but still not fantastic.
Destiny Udogie up next. Sim gives him a 4. I gave him a 5. And I'm starting to get really concerned about Destiny because we haven't seen him anywhere close to his kind of what we saw him like maybe the first half of last season when we thought we had like a top left back on our books. Look, I still believe in his talents, but he's just not showing it for a while. And I thought yesterday, he defended. Some of his defensive display was fairly good, but I'm looking at him going forward, and he's not doing those just using his brute strength and bulldozing runs to charge us on the attack anymore. And yeah, I mean, maybe with Van der Ven, when he spots that trouble, when he sees Van der Ven like going over to that man, he probably has to go over and look at Enzo, or otherwise Enzo's just got a free header in the box, and that's what happened.
Yeah, and again, no communication whatsoever in the box, and I think Udogie doesn't cover himself in much glory with the goal as well, albeit he did have a guy behind him. So he could have been free. That guy could have been free, but Udogie again has to smell the danger a bit, which he definitely didn't. I thought in his one-on-one duels with Neto was pretty comfortable, most of it. I don't think Neto had the beating of him too much. Going forward, though, especially sometimes he's on the ball and he's just so sloppy, just giving it away so carelessly and putting us under pressure really needlessly, which is really concerning. Got to the byline a couple of times, but didn't really have the quality. There was one time he tried to put it back, I think, for Sarr, and actually Chalobah blocks it with his arm, so it was a bit unlucky there, but it wasn't a penalty because he was just sliding in to block the cross, but didn't really have the quality going forward, and I think his sloppiness in possession was what really frustrated me for a lot of it for Udogie, just giving the ball away so carelessly, and that really frustrated me. But defensively, didn't have a horrendous game, but then the goal, it wasn't great as well.
Yeah. Rodrigo Bentancur, 6s all round for Rodrigo. I felt like he was definitely one of our better players on the pitch yesterday, and particularly in the first half. I thought he was getting himself about, he was being aggressive in the middle of the park, trying to get us up the pitch a little bit. But I felt as the game wore on, he kind of was tiring.
Yeah, I thought it was definitely a bit better than what we've seen from him recently. And there were some really nice moments where he was getting the ball and in transition and gliding past a few Chelsea players where it was like, okay, he's looking like his old self. But again, some of his passes was, again, a bit careless. Defensively, he did make some really nice interceptions, I thought. And I thought when Chelsea were looking like they were going to really put us under pressure, he was one to kind of put a stop to it on a few occasions, which was quite good. But still, the kind of connection between him, Maddison, Bergvall wasn't fantastic. I think I want to see more from him, and especially when he's the most experienced player in that three, in that position defensively. He doesn't kind of take charge of it, and I want to see just more leadership from him, and that wasn't there.
Lucas Bergvall up next. 7s all round for Lucas. Definitely our best player on the pitch. Unfortunately, gets taken off by Ange Postecoglou. Look, he was the only one that really got on the ball and wanted to take the game by the scruff of the neck and wanted to drive the team forward. The way he can just glide past players and set us up on the attack, yeah, fine. Maybe some other players are not on his wavelength and didn't make the most out of the kind of good work that he was doing, but at least he's the only one that has any sort of ambition to drive the team forward.
Yeah, I think Bergvall was the one showing real quality in the game, and he was the one, every time he got the ball, he was looking really creative and he was looking energetic. I was very surprised, and I knew as soon as Bergvall's name come up, the reaction was going to get, because he was our best player. Albeit there was that one moment, I think, actually, which we didn't give Doggy credit for. There was a one moment in the first half which Palmer plays the ball across the face of goal, and Doggy makes a brilliant challenge to stop the ball going in. So Doggy deserves credit for that. But if you watch it back, we actually had control of that situation, and Bergvall just completely switches off and allows Palmer to wander in and put the ball across the face of goal. He needs to be more aware, and that's what I mean about when you got players like Bergvall. I know he's playing well, but sometimes things like that, he's not tactically aware enough. Sometimes he loses his runners too often, and he needs to be more aware. And that comes with age, that comes with experience, and that will come with Bergvall. But at least on the ball, he was the one, playing forward, taking people on, looking to open up Chelsea. And when he was on the ball, he was the only one where it looked like something might happen. But he was taken off on the 65th minute, which was a lot of big surprise.
Yeah, I mean, it was his kind of poor header out that let Caicedo score that offside goal as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, look, it wasn't the best clearance.
Luckily for him, it was offside, because if that wasn't offside and it was probably given, we're probably giving him a lot more flack for that. Next up, James Maddison. 4s all round for Madders. When you need a creative spark in the middle of the park, when you need like kind of leader, you need James Maddison, and he just didn't provide anything that we needed, to be honest. And the only thing that I kind of noticed from him from the away end was just the amount of times he was just complaining to the referee. That's pretty much all I saw him do yesterday.
Yeah, he had one moment in the first half, played a lovely ball out to Son on a transition, which nearly paid dividends. But other than that, I don't remember too much quality on the ball. I think we did look a bit better at times when he was kind of dropping a bit deeper, actually, and trying to knit the play together and trying to create build up from deep. And I thought that those moments we were looking a bit more functional. But unfortunately, it was too few and far between. Second half, I thought, kind of out the game a lot, wasn't really doing much. He had a big moment late in the game where he had a free kick and in a really good position to snatch something, and it hits the wall, and that was a big moment for him. Didn't have too many shots on goal. Just and I'm comparing him to Palmer on the game. Like, Palmer was just so much more involved. He was so much more involved in the attacking senses and like taking shots and getting to the byline and getting crosses in. And Maddison just didn't have the same influence whatsoever.
Yep, and that is why, I know he wasn't in the last squad, but that is why Palmer, it gets called up for England and Maddison doesn't. And he needs to show a lot more on a weekly basis, Maddison, to get in Thomas Tuchel's reckoning for the England role. But look, I thought it was poor display from James Maddison yesterday. And you know what? Like, you've got a goalkeeper like Roberto Sanchez in goal. You saw the one time that we went for it with Pape Sarr. The ball goes into the back of the net, and unfortunately the goal gets ruled out. But like, Maddison has got that quality. Have a dig, man. Go get yourself in that area and have a dig from 25 yards. He's got the quality to do it. We didn't see it once. Wilson Odobert up next. 4s all round for Wilson. I think he flattered to deceive a little bit. He huffed and puffed a bit on that right-hand side, but wasn't really threatening throughout, to be honest. And I really wanted to see him go on some driving runs and go and attack his fullback. And I think the stat says he went on one dribble throughout the whole game, when we've seen he's got that dribbling ability and that dribbling quality, but in this game he just didn't try it.
Yeah, I think it was a struggle for him. I think Cucurella pretty much had him in his back pocket for most of the game. There were a couple of moments, especially in the first half, where he was looking bright. I think there was a nutmeg on one of the Chelsea players and he got burst into the space, but the cross got blocked. I do think when I'm comparing him to like Brennan, in terms of comparing their anonymous displays, I do think he was a bit more involved. He was a bit more willing to go centrally and try and play in between the lines. But at the end of the day, he was still pretty ineffective in the game. So can't really give him too much credit. But I would say there was definitely much more of a willingness to get involved, even when he wasn't having a great game, when I'm comparing him to someone like Brennan.
Yeah, and I felt like when he did get in the opportunities to put a ball in the box as well, his crossing was just so poor. Moving on to Sonny, 4s all round for Sonny. Unfortunately, another poor display from Son yesterday, and I felt like he was lacking quite a bit of confidence yesterday, because there was a number of times, particularly in the first half, where he had his man shaped up one-on-one to go and attack him, and he just turned back and started passing and going backwards, and it was really frustrating. And when you're coming into a game like this, you need your players of top quality, the Sonnys and the Madisons, to really step up and show what they're about. And unfortunately, I don't think Son, put his footprint on this game at all. He'd got his chance towards the end. He was at a bit of a stretch, and if he scores at that moment and it goes 1-1, we'd probably take a point from the game. But that was pretty much the only sniff at goal that he had. And again, I'm going to say it, what I said for Maddison, with a player of Sonny's quality, you need to be getting those shooting positions when you've got a player like Sanchez in goal. Yeah,
the only time he did look to get into it, he got fouled, didn't he, for the free kick. So he was quite frustrating throughout the game. There were a couple of good moments from him, especially when I think he took on Gusto a couple of times, got to the byline, pulled it across the face of goal and caused a few problems, but just wasn't enough. And it felt like a lot of the time when we were getting into good positions, he was the one kind of it fell to, and he just wasn't doing enough, especially when the quality he does. He's supposed to be our star kind of player going forward, and he's not providing that quality in this game. He had a few opportunities to do that, especially on the breakaway, and unfortunately it was few and far between. There was one moment in the first half as well, when Maddison plays a beautiful ball out wide to him. He has a really good opportunity to drive at Gusto, and he just gets the shot blocked. He doesn't get it on target. Really struggled to get off that quality, I think, and he had a number of opportunities to do so and just didn't show it.
Yeah. Next up is Big Dom Solanke. Sim gives him a 4. I gave him a 5. I mean, look, I think you can pretty much put a match kind of ratings or match synopsis of Solanke's performance so many times this season. You're going to say the same thing: tireless working, tireless running, but not enough quality and not enough service. And I think that's exactly what it was yesterday for Solanke.
Yeah, I think he also got bullied a few times by Colwell and by Chalobah. Should be competing a lot more. I think there was a couple of times he held the ball up quite well, but other than that, few and far between. There was one moment where he had a shout for a penalty in the first half, but was never really going to be given. He kind of goes for a shot, gets he swipes for it, but unfortunately he was quite weak in that position, I felt. Did have one nice moment. He passed the ball through to Brennan for the chance for Son, but that was really the only moment of quality. There was a few little flicks which never really came off.
You know what, actually, did we end the game with Solanke at left wing?
I think it was Son and Solanke up front with Tell on the left.
Yeah, so I mean, Solanke was playing more on the left, right? And I felt like when he got into when he moved there, I felt like he was actually showing a lot with his direct dribbling. He was trying to cause a bit of a danger. I thought he got a bit better in that kind of moment in the game, but still not really much to go on. Mm-hmm. Let's move on to the substitutes. Pape comes on for Bergvall. 6s all round. I think he added a lot of energy to their midfield. He obviously the only one that took a shot from distance, and it went in the back of the net, but obviously his foul that got the goal ruled out. But look, I think he showed something, but look, it wasn't enough at the end of the day.
Yeah, it was a fairly decent cameo. You got to be fair to him as well. The goal that got ruled out, I know, was a foul, and he was the one who committed the foul, so you can have a few complaints. And I know Sanchez as well made a hash of the shot, but it was actually a pretty good shot from Saar with a lot of power, really low driven. Should have been saved, but it was a decent effort, so give him a bit of credit for that. I thought we definitely looked a lot better when he came on, and he had that energy that we probably needed to kind of take the game to Chelsea. I did feel like maybe the goal being ruled out took a bit of the wind out of his sails, though, unfortunately, although it was quite soon after him coming on. But he did add quite a bit of energy. But it was a decent cameo, but it wasn't enough.
Brennan Johnson next. Sim gives him a 5. I gave him a 6. Look, put one nice ball into the box where Sonny could have got on the end of it. And I thought he added a bit more energy to that right-hand side when he came on, but still not that much quality.
Yeah, I gave him a 5 for that one moment. I thought other than that, he didn't really do much.
You know what I was really annoyed with Brennan? He just kept making these stupid fouls when we're looking to get the ball.
Yeah.
We're looking to attack them, and then just Brennan with these stupid fouls.
He also got booked for dissent, which, to be fair, he had a case because Porro puts the ball out and gets a corner. And in fact, I don't know if you probably didn't see the replay, and it's a minor thing, but Porro hit the ball off Dewsbury Hall and it actually hits him twice before going out for a corner, and he gave the goal kick, and Porro was absolutely incensed. So I can understand why they were incensed by that, and he ended up getting a booking. But yeah, he didn't also made a stupid foul. He was actually could have been lucky not to be sent off because he made a foul and then kicks the ball away, and the referee didn't show the yellow card, so he's a bit lucky on that.
You know, I felt the players' frustration though, because the referees yesterday were just so annoying, man. Every 50-50 was going Chelsea's way.
There was one moment where someone goes through the back of Solanke, he doesn't give the free kick, and then literally a second later, someone goes through Gusto and he blows up immediately. And that was
that
so
happened quite a few
frustrating.
times actually throughout the game, and it was just like, come on, man, are we playing against 12 men here?
Yeah, the referee was frustrating. And obviously on top of that, he had the goal ruled out from VAR. But
that actually was the right decision.
That was the right decision.
That's the frustrating thing about it all. But look, let's move on to Ange Postecoglou. Sim gives him a 2. I gave him a 3. Can't get his team up for any sort of game at the moment. We can't seem to break down any sort of team. We're lacking creativity. We're lacking ideas. We're lacking cohesion. We're lacking pretty much all the fundamentals, and we're lacking an identity. That's the reality. And when you're nearly 2 years into a manager's tenureship, that should not be happening. And we've got pretty much all our players back now, bar Decky, and it's just nowhere near good enough. And you know, he takes off our best player in that moment in the game. And yeah, look, fair to him, it did get a little bit better, but you can't do what you did towards the fans. He's cupping his ears towards the fans on the back of that booing of the substitution. And when you're picking a fight with the fans, there's only one way it's going to go, and the guy needs to go. He needs to get sacked.
Yeah, I think the score I'm giving him isn't so much on how he managed the game, albeit, look, I don't have a massive problem with the lineup. The only thing the lineup I would say, I was just a bit surprised he went for Doggy over Porro. I just thought he would have gone for Porro, but he didn't. I'm not saying it was a wrong decision, but I was just a bit surprised by that. But in terms of how the game went, you know, we were disjointed from the start. They could have scored in the first minute. We never really got going on the ball. I thought our build-up was shoddy on a lot of occasions, very, very sloppy. We had very little attacking threat. I actually thought his substitutions did improve us a bit, but unfortunately, when you're picking a fight with your own fans, essentially trying to make your own fans look stupid and trying to kind of call them out. And I know the fans, you know, you could argue if the fans are giving it, they should be able to take it, but that's not how your manager of your football club should be acting when you've just got an equaliser in London Derby. You should be focused on how your team can get the winner. You should be trying to think about the game, and instead he's cupping his ear and saying, look who's laughing now, essentially. He's saying, look who knows what they're doing now. And that is no way a manager should be acting towards their away fans, whatever way you slice it, and especially given the position we are in the league and how he's doing as a job. He has to have a lot more humility about him, and it's unacceptable. And he can make all the reasons he wants for why he did or what happened there, but it's there for all to see. He's waving the away fans and he's cupping his ear. It's plain as day. So for me, that's completely unacceptable behaviour from a manager of this football club, especially one who has been given more than his fair share of lives in terms of how the season has gone.
Yeah. So that is your player ratings for the 1-0 defeat against Chelsea. So let's move on and let's go and see how the internet did Actually, just before we get into that, let's go to a couple of super chats because Anyap Narayan says, get in Paratici and Roberto De Zerbi. Would you take De Zerbi as our next manager?
De Zerbi, he's a good manager, plays good football, is a massive hothead.
Yeah. Him and Levy is never going to go.
So I don't know if he's probably going to blow up as well at some point. But yeah, I mean, would I take him? Yeah, why not at this point?
Who wouldn't you take right now? Next up is Samuel Lynch saying, I'm back in the member skip.
Big up,
he
Samuel.
just got his membership back. So big
Come
up
on.
to you, Samuel Lynch. And he says, I prefer going to Mordor over Stamford Bridge.
Yeah, I hate that bloody ground. We have such bad memories of that ground.
Literally. Had one good moment there in my 35 years of supporting Tottenham Hotspur. And then he says again, I'm going to have a second breakfast soon, porridge.
Second breakfast?
You
Lucky
enjoy
guy.
that.
Lucky
You
guy.
enjoy that.
What kind of porridge? Let us know.
My son likes porridge with banana slices in it.
Oh, a bit of cinnamon, a bit of apple.
All right, now let's go and see how the internet did react to the 1-0 defeat against Chelsea. And first up is from Brian Daigle. And he says, as a Spurs fan, when life gives you lemons, and this is a picture of Ange Postecoglou with his trophy in his second year saying, lost by the 1-goal trophy.
Yeah, it's another occasion we only lost by 1 goal yesterday. It's just a weird thing, isn't it? We've lost so many games and all by 1 goal.
Yeah.
Just a weird quirk of how we've lost games at this season.
Next up is Ryan_Spurs14, and this is a selfie that he took last night with me in the away end. Time for change banner. And that's exactly. I don't know why he posted it twice in the same tweet, but
you look too happy. You look delighted.
It was 0-0 at that point.
Oh, it was 0-0. I see.
It was at half time.
Happy not to be losing.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, time for change, people. Ramon Vega says they did a great job of creating a divide between the fans, the manager, and the players by making the manager and players the scapegoats in this situation. Only one person is laughing at this situation again, and he's obviously alluding to Mr. Levy.
Yeah,
Mr. Levy.
Exactly. Levy has reduced the wage bill, has getting all these events at the Tottenham Stadium.
Just announced another night of Chris Grau, by the way.
Another. Fantastic. He's the one who's really the only one not suffering right now. The only thing he's not suffering from is he's not going to be getting Champions League revenue next season. That's the only thing he's not suffering from.
Yeah. Spurs Express. This is spot on from Dan Kilpatrick on Ange Postecoglou's Tottenham, and he says they largely resembled 11 individuals with no game plan, cohesion, or structure.
That's what it felt like yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. And you know what? This isn't like the first time people are saying this. I've said it a few times over the past couple of months where it just looks like these players don't even know each other on the pitch. It feels like we've gone out to the local park and just picked up 11 players and put them on the pitch.
Yeah, which should not be happening. Should not be happening. The only thing I would say to that is a lot of these players have been out for so long. Yeah, I understand it, but especially when you've had this amount of time on the training pitch, but since the last game and since the international break, a lot of these players didn't even go on internationals like Van der Ven and stuff. So you expect to be a lot more cohesive than it is.
And you know what? Like with the players coming back from international break, they've still got more time on the training pitch than maybe like any other international break. You know what I mean? Because we didn't even play on the weekend. Spurs web new footage of Ange's cupped ear gesture towards the away fans, and there you have it in clear daylight. Ange cupping his ear to the away fans and then waving. Is that a way to get the fans to celebrate? Is it?
Yeah, I don't understand the. He's clearly a gesture to goad them. He's clearly goading the away fans. I don't understand how it can be interpreted in any other way, to be honest.
And on top of that, he doesn't even acknowledge the away fans after the game. Like, if you want to be like this manager that that's saying you're trying to get them to celebrate, then at least like acknowledge them at the end of the game as well.
Yeah, but would that have done more harm than good? Probably at that point.
Maybe, but I think like if
I don't think they would have been receptive to anything.
No, but I still think like have a bit of respect for the fans, even if you're going to cop and flack a bit of abuse. Players came over and they took the abuse because they know that they need to respect the fans. The manager should be doing that as well.
Yeah, that's fair.
Paul O'Keefe says everyone knows the disgrace the board are at Tottenham Hotspur when it comes to the hamstringing managers. But the excuse isn't valid when the manager clearly not getting anything from the team. Two things can be very wrong simultaneously. Postecoglou is the wrong horse to back here. Yeah, and I've pretty much been saying that for a while.
Look, on Ange, I do still think he's a good manager. But I think right now, the way things are going, I think he's cracked under the pressure, and you can clearly see it. You can clearly see how it's getting to him. He's reacting in all sorts of different ways to fans and to journalists and all these different things. He can't seem to deal with the current situation, and when you're goading your own fans, you can't stay in a job. That's the last thing you can do.
And also, like, in the last press conference before this game, when he was talking about, like, there are many good candidates for this role and all this kind of stuff. When you're talking like that, you know you're pretty much a dead man walking.
Yeah, but that's also Ange, isn't it? That's how he speaks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, he likes to say things not like, you know, he likes to make light of situations, doesn't he? And I think that's kind of what he was doing.
Spurs Express from Craig Hope saying Newcastle and Spurs are in lucrative talks over a pre-season friendly in Seoul.
Well, it looks like we could be going back to Seoul in the summer.
Yeah, very much so. So one friendly in Hong Kong against Arsenal and potentially another one in Seoul against Newcastle. Change for Tottenham. Sunday we march again to make our voices heard and show our discontent to the board. Our demands remain clear and our unity is our strength. Join us as we stand for what's right. Thank you for your continued support. We won't back down. So if you do want to join the protest, obviously 6th of April, Southampton game, 12:15 at the crossroads of Lordship Lane and the High Road. And go check out Change for Tottenham on X for all further details if you want to get involved in that.
Get your voices heard.
I'll most definitely be down there, that's for sure. So come and join me, people, at the protest, because I think it's important to get your voices heard. Next up, Spurs Army says, give it Ryan Mason till the end of the season. I've seen enough, slept on it. Give me Mason.
You ready for Money Mace? Not Money
ready.
Mace, that's Mason Mount. You ready for Mason Mount? Give him the job. You ready for Ryan Mason?
I'm ready.
You ready?
Yeah. Give it Mason.
It's either him or Ange, I guess.
Surely Mason's learnt a lot in the last few years since he last had it.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Look, the reality is it can't get much worse.
Well, we're still in Europa League, so...
Yeah, but, I mean, does anyone have any confidence that we'll still be in the Europa League if Ange is our manager in a couple of weeks' time?
If you're asking me, do I think we got a better shot with Ange or with Mason?
I actually think we've got a better shot with Mason. Not because of the quality of manager, just because of everything surrounding it.
Maybe he can just get a one-off performance out of us, potentially. I don't know what the answer is.
We don't need a one-off performance. We need a two-off performance to get into the next round, a four-off performance to get into the final, and then a five-off performance to win it.
I don't know. I don't know if we're better off with Mason or Ange. I still think we're probably more likely to go through if we had Ange.
I don't know, man. I just think this team just lack all sort of cohesion. I think confidence is in the gutter. I don't know. Does Mason come in and give it confidence? Probably not. But at least making a change brings something different. And maybe something different is what we need right now.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, yes, we definitely need something different. That's for sure. But whether it's Mason,
Harry?
I don't know. Give it Harry.
Harry till the end of the season?
Martin
Yole.
Co-manager.
Football Confidential says, wish Spurs had 11 Lucas Bergvals. He's levels above every other Spurs player on show. And he really is. We're saying this week in, week out.
It's another great display. The guy's the style. Look, it wasn't his best display, but it's still much better than any other Spurs player.
Yeah. Blue Deer says, our captain, and this fight broke out at the end of the first half yesterday.
Oh, it was all over nothing as well. It was a bunch of rubbish.
And Bentancur seemed quite irate, and Sonny just goes straight in there, pulls Bentancur away, and showing that leadership ability.
Most passion we showed over the whole game,
Pretty much,
in that moment.
What was it over?
It was nothing. Just there was a foul, and then Colwell grabs the ball, and Romero shoves him away, and he acts like he's hurt, and it's all just a bunch of nonsense.
Rising star 11, Lucas Bergvall in the first half against Chelsea, 100% ground duels won, 100% take-ons, 87% passing accuracy. Baller.
Absolute baller.
Daily Hotspur, Son Heung-min says he misses Harry Kane. I don't know when this was. this interview.
Well, I'm not surprised.
But he says, obviously, I'm missing him more than any time. For me, he's the best striker. And we all know
I'm
he's the best striker.
I'm sure the points more than most. He's missing Kane. No, it's not a surprise.
Oh, yeah, I'm just hating all this kind of hate that's coming towards Son this season. It just doesn't sit right with me whatsoever. This guy has given so much to this football club.
Mm-hmm.
So much. And yeah, look, he's not having the best season he's ever had, but if you want to go at someone, don't go at someone that has given so much to this football club.
Mm-hmm.
Go at the people that actually go at the people that actually, deserve it. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Jersey Spurs says Ange Ball. Look at this picture. Our right back in centre mid, our centre back at right back, our other centre back walking into his centre back position, our centre mid at centre back. It's the injuries, mate.
Look, I don't think the snapshot is of a game like that is the problem, but I understand what he's trying to say, and I think obviously that's what Ange tries to do. He tries to get these rotations going, but when you get a snapshot like that, it doesn't look great. I understand that.
Mari says, even though the goal was disallowed, Sonny's gesture was still beautiful, pushing Sarr so he could receive applause from the fans.
Yeah, that was nice. Unfortunately, it didn't mean anything, but it was nice.
Yeah.
Mm.
And next one is from Alex THFC. If you go backwards.
Go back. There you go.
Yeah. This one is from Alex THFC. Ange's record against Chelsea and Arsenal: 7 games, 0 wins, 1 draw, 6 losses. His 8th game tonight, and that 1 draw came in Ange's 5th game or something.
It was in the first 10 games, wasn't it, against the Emirates?
Yeah.
Yeah. Has a horrible record in London derbies. Really, really horrible record.
Invert the Wing says Ange had nearly 3 weeks to figure it out. He didn't. Impossible to defend him. And this is from Ange Postecoglou's #1 fan.
Yeah, but he's the most extreme person in the way. He flip-flops to extreme. That's how he is.
His picture is Ange Postecoglou.
I know. He's the most extreme guy. Everything's extreme with him, though.
He's not wrong, though.
No, he's not wrong.
SZY Comp says, look at his reaction. This is when he was asked about, the situation with the fans, and he just looked shocked at the question. Ridiculous.
Yeah. I don't know if it was a pre-planned shock.
That look.
Yeah, that look there.
Oh, Ange.
Like he didn't know what was going to be asked. Maybe he is just an old guy, doesn't know how he's going to be perceived or something. I don't know. I feel bad for him if what he meant wasn't how everyone's reading it, but it's hard not to read like that.
Yeah. Football Confidential saying Leicester City last 15 Premier League games, lost 14, 1 win against Tottenham, and last Premier League goals scored against Tottenham as well, by the way.
Yeah, it's shocking.
Tadarius Tadu says the shushing in quotation marks. He actually asked for more from the fans.
Yeah, so I don't know where this rumor came from. I think actually he's quote replying the person who started the rumor, and they've looks like they've deleted it. So that's good, but yeah, I don't know why people feel the need to start these stupid rumors just to cause more more toxicity, I guess.
Yeah. Lily White Rose. Yeah. Lily White Rose just says, wow. That was in reply to, obviously, Ange and his cupping to the ear. Next one is Blue Deer saying, laughing emoji at Spence. Don't fight her, forget it. So Spence was just like, yeah, I can't be asked for this.
He's just a chill guy.
He's like, what are you guys doing? I just cannot be asked. Fair play to him, to be fair. Joel Kim says, quite controversial at the moment. This is the video of Ange cupping his ears to the fans after Sarr scored his goal. After fans booed him for bringing in Sarr, probably not the best thing to do under fire.
You say that again.
Ryan Taylor says, utter chaos at Stamford Bridge. Spurs fans singing you don't know what you're doing to Ange Postecoglou after Pape and Brennan Johnson subbed on. Sarr scores. Postecoglou cups his way to the away end. Goal is then disallowed. swear things like that only happen at Tottenham. It's so spot on, isn't it?
That's a journalist saying that as well.
Yeah.
Ryan Taylor. Absolutely. It's the most Spursy thing I think that can ever happen.
Yeah. Well, that is it. That is how the internet did react to the game yesterday. Very, very, very frustrating day. And where do we go from here, people? You let us know in the comment section below. We've got a super chat from CCM28 saying, seriously, sack Ange, bring in Gerrard or Lampard. We can send Ange back to shine his prized Tojo Cup.
Yeah, no.
First of all, don't ever mention Lampard and Tottenham in the same sentence ever again. I don't ever want to see... I'd rather keep Ange and have Lampard as our manager.
That's not what you were saying yesterday.
What did I say? That was more tongue-in-cheek. I was saying Lampard has done a better job with Chelsea than Tottenham. I never said I wanted to see him at Tottenham.
I don't know if that's true as well. Well, he did in the first spell, I guess.
Yeah. And, yeah, Gerrard...
Forget Gerrard. About to be sacked in Saudi.
He did get sacked.
He did get sacked, didn't he? Yeah.
But he did win in the SPL.
Did win SPL with Rangers.
So did Ange. Don't think Ange will get sacked in Saudi?
Nope. I think Ange's going to do a good job in his next job.
All right. It's you could actually say that Gerrard maybe did a better job than Ange in Saudi in SPL. I know Ange won the treble, but I mean Gerrard brought Rangers back and took the league off Celtic.
I think was it unbeaten?
Potentially, it could have been unbeaten as well. But
remember.
Unbelievable job. Gerrard, what Gerrard did with Rangers was actually incredible. So fair play to him. But no, I wouldn't really want to see Gerrard manage Spurs, to be honest. But
Thiago Motta is a decent shout, someone said.
What's Thiago Motta done?
Well, he's just been sacked by Juve. But
yeah, exactly.
He did well at Bologna.
Yeah, but why has he been sacked by Juve? Because he's not good enough.
They were unbeaten.
Yeah, with like record amount of draws.
Yeah, I know, but it was a record amount of draws. But Juve have been a mess for a while.
They were unbeaten, but not very many wins at all.
But what's it called? Juve have been a massive mess though for a few years.
Yeah.
Ever since Allegri got sacked the first time, like 5 or 6 years, they've been a big mess. So it was never going to be sorted out quickly.
All right, well, shall we get into it? Shall we look ahead?
Shall we?
Yeah, let's do it. Tottenham against Southampton at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Sunday. We're going to get into the predicted
lineup.
Predicted lineup first, and let's go and have a look at what the injuries are for Tottenham going into the game.
1 sec. Let me just. All right, the injuries. Well, Ange said that there's no new injuries from the game yesterday. Richarlison, he said in the Chelsea press conference that he's wasn't going to play on Thursday, but he has a chance for Sunday, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the squad. Dragoshin obviously long term. Kulusevski's still out. Danso is still out. We have also heard reports from Dan Kilpatrick that Maddison. Who was it? Maddison, Son, and Van der Ven are all set to be rested in this game. Ange also said in his press conference that he will be making some changes in this game, but he's not going to make as many changes in this game than he did, for example, in the Fulham game. He said he's more focused now on building some cohesion in the team rather than making changes and to the team for fitness reasons like before. That's what he said. So I'm not expecting as many changes this time around.
All right, well, let's get into it. In goal is obviously going to be Vicario. Not the greatest showing on the week on Thursday night, but yeah, that's probably his poorest performance since he's been back.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Injury.
I mean, look, I don't think he was horrendous by any
No,
stretch, but he just looked nervous. He just wasn't, he just kind of exuded nervousness, I guess is the word. But yeah, he'll definitely play. I mean, I guess if it was any game Kinski was going to play, it would probably be this. But I don't think he will. I think he's going to stick with Vicario.
Yeah. Right back, I think Pedro Porro does come in for this one.
Yeah, I agree.
Was on the bench obviously on Thursday night, and I think he comes straight back in.
Yeah, do you reckon that's with a view of going for Spencer Doggy again against Frankfurt, or?
I don't know actually, because it might even be Porro and a Doggy.
What, with no Spence?
I think it could be Porro and a Doggy.
Oh, you mean on Sunday?
Yeah, and then put in Porro and Spence on Thursday.
The only thing is Spence didn't play on internationals; those two did. That's the only thing I'd say. But yeah,
well, a Doggy didn't. Did he play?
He played, yeah.
Oh, he played. That was
both
Porro
games.
that barely played.
Porro played one game.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's going to be Porro and a Doggy.
No, Porro and a Doggy saving Spence for
Porro and a Doggy and
Southampton.
save Spence for Thursday. That's what I think.
So if we're saying Van der Ven's rested, do we think Romero and Davis?
Yeah,
centre back
for sure. Romero and Davis, for sure.
Unless he wants to put Gray in again.
No, I think it'll be Romero and Davis. Get a bit of solidity back there. So a back four of Porro, Doggy, Romero, Davis with Vicario in goal. Moving into the midfield, does Bissouma come in? Does Bentancur start the 6? Do we put Bergvall in the 6? I got a feeling it could be Bergvall in the 6.
So we're saying, if Maddison's definitely not playing, I think definitely Sarr plays in the 8.
So Bergvall in the 10 actually, if Maddison's not playing.
Definitely Sarr in the 8. He definitely goes there.
Well, Bergvall in the 10 has to be.
We're going to go Bergvall.
Surely it's not going to be Bentancur in the 10 again.
Yeah, probably Bergvall gets another start. Well, he did come off early, so he probably should be all right for Sunday. And then it's all about, does he persist with Bentancur, or is he going to go Bissouma, or even Gray? Could Gray come in?
I'd like to see Archie there. Didn't do well when he last played there, but you've got to keep giving him more chances. Can't just be one chance and that's it. So,
but his response to he was asked about Gray in his press conference. His response was fairly interesting.
What did he say?
He said, it's just interesting about what he didn't say rather than what he did say. But he said, where is it? He basically said, he was asked, are you going to give Gray more opportunities? And he said, yeah. He said, look, on whether Archie will get another opportunity in midfield, he said, look, we want to win games of football. We will make those decisions. I think we are past the point of looking to develop players right now. I think whether it's Archie or any other player, all they want to do is try and address our current situation and win games of football. So
I think
that tells me no, he won't
yeah.
play, yeah.
So I think Bissouma then.
Or does he just go with Bentancur again? Because we didn't hear he's going to rest him.
No, but just because we didn't hear it doesn't mean he won't. I feel it'll be Bissouma. I think put Bissouma in for this game, and then because surely he could got to perform against Southampton. Let's be real, like.
All right, so we go Bissouma, Bergvall, and Sarr.
Yeah, Bissouma, Bergvall, Sarr in the midfield.
I do think Solanke starts again.
Yeah, I agree with that. Solanke in the 9. If Richarlison was fit, I mean, there is rumours that, he's not rumours, Ange said that he could be in line to play against Southampton, but it won't be from the start.
Yeah, I think he'll come off, yeah.
So Solanke up top. So no Son, we're saying. So I think Tell starts probably on the left wing.
Yep.
Which was actually quite interesting. It was Mikey Moore on the bench and not Timo on the weekend. But I guess that Timo's not even in the Europa League squad.
Yeah,
so
Timo's done.
Timo's done at this football club. On the right-hand side, are we persisting with Odebear or Brennan Johnson is coming back in?
I think he'll probably go Brennan, I'm guessing. I think he'll probably start Brennan in this game.
Yeah, I agree.
Although, was it Brennan and Tell against Fulham, wasn't it, on the wings?
Yep.
When we started, and it wasn't particularly great. And
we had no
Solanke up
Bergvall.
front. Didn't have Bergvall. Yeah, we didn't have a great midfield 3 on that occasion. Yeah, and so who are we not starting? So the likes of Van der Ven, Moore, we're thinking Maddison, maybe Richarlison, Odebear, Spence will all be on the bench. Gray as well. Is there a chance Gray starts at fullback, potentially?
There is a chance. Yeah, I think there is a decent chance of it. But I don't think it'll be I think it would be at right back, if anything. Is he going to leave Porro out 2 games in a row? I'm just not sure about that.
No, I don't think he will either.
So I think this is going to be the predicted lineup. So Vicario in goal, Porro right back, Doggy left back, Ben Davis and Coutinho Romero in the centre back positions. Bissouma, Sarr and Bergvall in the midfield three, Brennan on the right, Tell on the left, and Solanke up top.
Yeah, I think you look. So how many changes is that from the weekend? So 1, 2, 3, 4,
No, we're doggy
5. No, I'm saying that's only 5 players keeping their place.
Yeah.
So is it going to be that many? He said he's only going to make a couple.
But I think last time he made a lot, didn't he? A lot more than that.
Well, he made
didn't
6.
Oh, he made 6 only.
I think, or was it 6 or 7? This is so we may only. So this is 6 changes.
Yeah. So maybe it will be Odegaard on the right. I mean, Brennan still hasn't done much to be put in the side.
And maybe it will be Bentancur as well, potentially.
Yeah, there's definitely a case for it. What do you reckon?
Yeah, maybe it's too many changes, I'm feeling. Because I don't know, just basing what he said, he wants to build a team cohesion, he's not going to make as many changes. We're basing it on that. We said he will make a few, but he said he's not going to be as many.
Well, those two are the only ones I really feel like are the ones that could stay as an Odegaard and a Bentancur. Apart from that, I think the other changes will be made.
Yeah. So we'll put Bentancur back in, and we're going to put Odegaard back in.
All right, so now our predicted lineup is Vicario in goal, Udogie left back, Porro right back, Romero and Ben Davies in the centre back positions. In the midfield, Bentancur coming back in, Sarr in, Bergvall in the midfield, Odegaard on the right, Tell on the left, and Solanke up top. And it's going to be interesting with the dynamic of Tell and Odegaard as well on both wings. I'm quite excited to see that.
Yeah, we haven't seen them start together, have we?
No.
No. Yeah. In any game, did they start together away at RZ? I don't think Odegaard started, did he? Tell did. I don't think Odegaard did.
Can't remember.
The home game, it was Odegaard and Son. Yeah, so and I think... Oh, wait, did Tell start up front? No, Solanke started up
away
front.
it was Tell up top.
Yeah.
Johnson on the right, Son on the left.
Yeah, so they haven't started together yet.
Yeah.
So that'll be an exciting prospect.
Yeah. So that is our predicted lineup going into the game against Southampton this weekend. Let us know your score predictions in the comments section below. And let me just get this off the screen for you guys as we will go in
to the match preview.
Yeah. Let's go into the match preview. Tottenham against Southampton. Not the biggest game of all time. It's got to be said with a massive game coming up on Thursday. So this, for me, is just get a win, get 3 points, get that winning feeling back, and hopefully foster a bit of confidence going into that game on Thursday. That's what this game's all about.
Yeah, I think trying to give rest when we can. We know Southampton rooted to the bottom of the table, 10 points so far this season. If ever we've needed just a nice easy victory and no stress, it's probably Sunday. Unfortunately, it is off the back of Southampton having their first positive result in a long time, getting a draw against Crystal Palace in their last game where they were minutes away from getting the winner. Maybe that killer blow conceding late would have knocked the stuffing out of them a bit going into this game potentially.
Or they could take confidence out of getting their first point in ages.
They could. Yeah, they could. You could look at it either way. But the fact they were so close to a win must be very frustrating. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I envisage. Look, it should be a simple game. We know that it should be a game we should win comfortably. But it's never that simple with Tottenham. That's also what we know.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think like Spurs going into this confidence so low, and we've already lost to the other two teams at home this season in Ipswich and Leicester, 3 of the worst teams that we've seen come up for a while. I know last year it weren't great either, but this year seems to be even worse than that. So I am a bit kind of worried going into this game. I don't think taking a win is a foregone conclusion, and I don't think like they feel like they could just turn up and win the game, because that's not what it's going to be like. Southampton are going to be working hard. You've seen this Southampton team before as well. Sometimes when they lose, like they can still create quite a few chances, and still like they create chances but just don't put it in the back of the net, and it'll be just our luck that it just clicks for them on the day.
And obviously this could be an addition for Tyler Dibbling, heavily linked with Tottenham. and we know he'll be well up for this. Didn't start in midweek. I'm sure he'll be starting in this game, and the rumours are very, very hot at the moment between him and Spurs. Romano even saying he's Tottenham's #1 target in the summer. He's saying so
he's bound to have a crazy game.
I'm sure he's going to have a brilliant game. I'm trying to remember isolated performances. I remember they went to Old Trafford, and were a few minutes away. Went into the last 10 minutes, I think, leading that game. And then ended up succumbing to a Diallo hat-trick, very quick-fire hat-trick, I remember. But they were very close to winning that game.
Do you think this Southampton team are as bad as the points tally suggests?
Are they as bad as the points tally suggest? I think.
Are they on a level with, like, Derby, basically? Like,
I think they're better than Derby. I think they're better than Derby. But I just think the quality of the Premier League is just a bit higher, so you have to be that much better. So I don't know. The points tally is relative to the competition, isn't it? So, in that sense, I do think that they are that bad. But when it comes to are they as bad as other Premier League teams who have gotten similar totals? Maybe not.
Because I've seen them like play Liverpool and give them Liverpool were lucky to get away with something in that game. Like Southampton were creating chances, weren't they? And they can, on the odd game, like really raise their game and put themselves about and make themselves really difficult to play against. I mean, obviously, we played them already this season. We were 4-0 up, within 20 minutes or something. We completely just wiped them off.
That was Russell Martin's last game.
Yeah. So I do think, like, this Southampton team are not as bad as maybe the points tally suggests, in my opinion. I think they can play some good football, and they've just got very unlucky in certain games as well. Yeah,
there's definitely some games they should have taken something out of and they got unlucky. But then again, we say it's unlucky, but a lot of the time it's just been shooting themselves in the foot, hasn't it? A lot of the time it's just really poor mistakes, and that goes to the quality of the player.
Yeah.
So I don't think that can count as luck all the time. But there have definitely been some games where they've played quite well, and sometimes you're wondering how the hell are they down in this game? How are they losing? And where they've had lots of chances, missed a lot of them, and all of a sudden they found themselves 1-0 down. So there's definitely been a lot of games like that. So they definitely have the potential to cause you problems. But I mean, if we don't get a win against these lot, I mean,
surely Ange has got to be sacked on the pitch after the game if we lose this game.
If we lose, yeah, I think. I don't know how he would make the Frankfurt
Does
game
he survive till Frankfurt if we lose tomorrow, a Sunday? Surely not.
I can't see it. I mean, I don't know how he can.
Because, like, you're talking about, like, if he does lose to 3 of, like, statistically the worst promoted clubs in, I don't know, a very long time in the Premier League, let's say. Like, that is just ridiculous.
Would you take it just to get me in a costume?
No, I wouldn't. I would rather be in the costume come the end of the season than lose this game. I really would. Like, it's just too embarrassing.
So embarrassing.
It's more embarrassing losing this game than me being in a costume. That's what's more embarrassing. But look, you look at the form of Southampton. We're talking about how they can perform on the day, but they've conceded 14 goals in the last 5 games. And we know, like, how we've been struggling to create. But if we don't create and score goals against this team, what hope do we have against Frankfurt?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I know that Chelsea wasn't a great kind of momentum builder. We just need to get some sort of good feeling, and obviously a win would be a win. It's a win everyone expects, and it's not going to change anyone's mind, but you need to still win it, and that's all you can do. You just hopefully turn up, score some nice goals, and don't make it too difficult. I just hope it's not a big struggle. I was quite surprised in that form. Looking at our home form was better than I expected, to be honest. In the last, 3 wins and a draw in our last 5.
Yeah, one of them comes against Alkmaar.
So still a bit better than I expected. I thought our home form wasn't as good, but you look at that. We've only scored 2 more goals than Southampton in the last 5.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
I'm just trying to think who these wins came against. So Alkmaar, Man United, and Elfsborg.
Man United and Elfsborg. Oh, because Ipswich and Brentford were both away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before that, we beat Liverpool.
Not bad.
Nah, it's been shocking, our home form. We've beaten teams like in Alkmaar and Elfsborg, which we just, like, Elfsborg was, academy players came on and won
Do
the
you
game
think
for us.
Alkmaar are better than Southampton?
Do I think Alkmaar are better than Southampton? Yeah, I do. Probably, yeah. Well, definitely. Surely.
I hope so.
Troy Parrott gets into that team.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Parrott gets in that team.
But there's probably a few Southampton players that get into their team.
Dibbling.
Maybe Carl Walker-Peters.
Look, we should be all right in this game, surely. Surely we should be
you,
all right.
you need to believe that, don't you?
Surely.
You need to believe that.
Surely.
But I'm not fully convinced. I'm really not fully convinced with what I'm seeing at the moment. Confidence is so low. And if anyone is going to lose to Southampton, you know it's going to be Spurs. Let's be real. We just read out the stat in the reacts. Leicester have won one game in the last 15. The last team that they scored against was us. And when was that game?
January time?
Exactly. We're in bloody April. And the last Premier League goal they scored against was against us. You know? Leicester are shocking. They're a shocking team. They're getting battered week in, week out. They've won one in their last 15 games, and that was against us. So who's to say we can't lose to Southampton?
I will say it.
You can't say it definitively.
I say we're not going to lose.
Yeah,
I'm going to
but-
say it definitively.
Yeah, maybe you can say it, but it's not fact.
Nothing's a fact. I just don't think we'll lose. I'm pretty confident we won't.
Well, when we lose, clip that all up, people.
Yeah,
'Cause
clip
I'm
it.
worried. I'm worried going into this. Like, I don't think we're going to lose, but I do think there's more of a chance of Southampton beating us than Southampton basically beating anyone that they have played recently.
Maybe. Well, they nearly beat Palace,
Yeah. And Palace have been on great form.
especially away from home.
Yeah. So, like, why can't they come to Tottenham and win?
Because I just don't think they can.
It's just a feeling. There's no actual, like,
Well,
basis behind it.
we beat Ipswich 4-1 recently, didn't we?
Yeah. But we also lost Ipswich to Tottenham.
Yeah, but that was a while ago.
And we're worse now.
I think we'll win. It might not be pretty, but I do think we'll win.
You look at the head-to-head between Spurs and Southampton. I mean, that was one of our games of the season earlier in the middle of December. Injury crisis, didn't matter. We battered them 5-0. Kulusevski obviously brilliant that day. We need Decky back, man. We need Decky back desperately because I feel like since Decky's gone, that's when the real like cutting edge of this team have gone.
What was his last game? Was it Ipswich? Yeah, he scored against Ipswich and
Yeah,
got
must
injured,
have
I
been.
think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or did he play against Alkmaar? No, he didn't. No, it was Ipswich. Yeah, we definitely missed Decky.
No, his last game was Man City. He went off after 25 minutes, or he came on in the last 25 minutes.
That's right, he came on and then got injured. Yeah, I think Decky's definitely missed for sure. He's such a big player for us. Hopefully, we'll get him back for the second leg at Frankfurt. But yeah, there's no excuse for missing any players in this game. That's for sure.
Any Southampton players apart from Dibbling? We spoke about Dibbling.
I like
you know.
Sulemana. And
Yeah.
Sulemana is like even more frustrating than Adama Traore, but he's also one of those players where once he's in full flight, he's very hard to stop. He just usually has very little at the end of it.
Yeah, and you know it's just classic Tottenham in it
You
because
just
like
stick one on
Adama
top.
Traore, you know, he usually scores against us.
Oh, I know.
And like against everyone else, he'll like blaze it over the bar, and Sulemana will probably put it in the back of the net.
Yes, I think he's a tricky customer. He's one where, like, it doesn't matter who he's playing against. He causes trouble. He causes chaos, but he's usually just you're left very frustrated by him. I like, obviously, Paul Walker-Peters will be playing probably. I wouldn't be surprised if he has a great game.
He'll definitely have a great game.
Harwood Bellis is a decent centre-back. I think he's done pretty well for them.
He's good. I like Harwood Bellis. I
Yeah.
think he'll go to a much better club this summer. But their two players go out this weekend. Is Flynn Downs, who's suspended for 10 yellow cards, and Will Smallbone, who's a big player for them as well. That's actually two like key players for them, in my opinion. So
They got an average keeper,
yeah, who is their keeper?
Ramsdale.
Oh, is it Ramsdale? Yeah, he's going to take some flack this weekend. That's for
He's
sure.
just going to have a great game, isn't he?
He's going to have a great game, and he's going to
obvious.
take a lot of flack.
So obvious that Ramsdale's going to have a great game.
Spurs fans are going to be onto him. Massively.
He's just addicted to the relegation battle. He just can't get away from it. He needs to be relegated. He can't help it.
He loves the relegation.
He
That
just
Aaron
he loves
Ramsdale.
getting relegated. He loves it. It's like an addiction.
Oh, jeez.
He loves
man.
getting. How many? This will be like his fourth relegation, something like that. Got
Yeah, and
relegated
Arsenal fans tried to tell us he's one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League. He's at Southampton now. He's one of the worst teams.
I think got relegated with Bournemouth, Sheffield United,
and now Southampton.
and now Southampton.
Yeah. Well, look, we just have to by hook or by crook get over the line, and playing against a team like Southampton, surely you'll see some good football from Tottenham.
I hope so. Yeah, I like to think there'll be some good football there. I like to think so. I know there'll be a few changes, but it's a good opportunity. You know, get Tell some confidence.
Yeah.
Maybe get Solanke a goal. Maybe just build some confidence in the team, which is clearly very, very fragile at the moment.
Clearly very fragile, and I just hope. Look, like I said before, all I want from this game is a bit of a confidence booster to go into the game against Frankfurt. But, I mean, we won 5-0 against Southampton last time. What was our game directly after that? Did it boost any of our confidences?
Well, again, we're in the middle of an injury crisis that time. But
yeah, true.
I can't remember what the game was after that. I think it was Rangers or something. Oh, no, that was Rangers was the game before. So was it Elfsborg?
Nah.
No, not Elfsborg. Was it Europa? Hoffenheim? No, not Hoffenheim.
Let's see. So Tottenham Southampton was what, in the back end of December?
Was it Liverpool?
Middle of December. So we played Southampton. Oh, we beat Man U 4-3 after that, but then we lost to Liverpool 6-3 after that. So, look, what's your score prediction?
I'm going to go 3-1 Spurs.
3-1 Spurs. Is Tell going to finally score in the Premier League?
Tell is going to get a goal or an assist, I feel it. Goal or an assist.
I'm going to go for 2-1. 2-1 Spurs. I think we'll get the win. It won't be pretty. I think we'll just about do enough to get over the line. We'll definitely concede. And how we're going to score, God knows, because we just look so toothless at the moment. But I'm just hoping that we can just get over the line. I can't sit here and just predict the loss against Southampton at home. I just can't do it. But, 2-1 Spurs. Let us know your score predictions in the comments section below. And that is your Southampton preview. And after this, once we line it up, it's time to look forward to... Well, actually look back at the results of the Premier League, where me and Sim go head-to-head. 1 second.
Gonna do some on the ball stuff.
Yeah, it's time to look back at the weekend's fixtures. Me and Sim do go head-to-head on our other channel called On The Ball in predicting Premier League outcomes. We have a scoring system, which is 5 points for a goal, 5 points for a correct score, 1 point for a correct result. And the star man, we pick them at the end of each episode, and it's 5 points for a goal, 2 points for an assist. You can't predict that. You can't pick them again for the rest of the season. Sim is on 281, and I'm on 300. So let's go and see how the games went over this midweek period. Arsenal 2, Fulham 1. Sim went for 1-0. I went for 2-1. So I got a big fat 5 pointer. Sim got 1 point going into this game. And it was very similar to what I was saying. I mean, I predicted it in saying that, Fulham will give Arsenal a hard time and Saka will come on and win the game for Arsenal. It didn't really work out in kind of that manner. Arsenal obviously took the lead. Saka came on, scored the goal, put it 2-1. And then towards the end of the game, Fulham had a late flurry with Muniz coming on, gave them a lot of trouble, scored a goal, could have had another one just before that. And even Ryan Sessegnon came on and caused them trouble as well. I think Arsenal were fairly lucky to get out of that game with 3 points with the way the last 10 minutes went.
Yeah, it was a bit too little too late. But I think the big story coming out of this game was obviously Gabriel's injury.
Yeah.
Hamstring injury. He's now officially announced that he's missing the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Massive blow. Well, obviously, we know that the title's going to be beyond them anyway, but obviously this win did put them temporarily 9 points behind Liverpool before their result against Everton. But obviously, with Champions League, a tie against Real Madrid just around the corner, what hope do they have without Gabriel and no striker?
Mbappe and Vinicius up against Kiwior and Saliba. Can't see it.
I would put Timber centre-back if I was then move Ben White's fit. Go put him on the right. Or but Ben White at centre-back even.
Ben White's injured, though.
He was injured. Yeah, he was in the squad, but he just come back, so I don't know what happened.
Problems, apparently.
Yeah. But that's obviously a massive blow for Arsenal, Gabriel, because that partnership is that's what's been keeping them somewhat competitive, I think.
He's been their best player this season.
Mm.
And you don't really hold any hope. But it is just one player. And now Saka's back. They're going to have that kind of
It's not, though, because they've got the no striker as well.
creative edge. Yeah, true. How about South the rest of the season? That's true. Look, I think it is going to be detrimental to them at the end of the day, but I think on a one-off game, they could potentially pull something out of the bag. But
2 legs.
yeah, I just can't see it against all the might that Real Madrid have.
I think if they had Gabriel as a chance, maybe they could shithouse it to penalties, but I just can't see it now. Can't see how they survive without Gabriel.
What a shame. How my heart bleeds for them.
Massive shame.
Yeah. Let's move on to Wolves against West Ham. It finished 1-0 to Wolves. Sim went for 2-1. I went for 1-1. And West Ham's poor results continue. Wolves getting a really good 3 points here. No Cunha, no problem once again. Jacob Strand-Larsen, 10 goals this season for Wolves. Great season, great debut season he's had in the Premier League.
People are going to be sniffing around him soon, you reckon?
I think he's a really good player. I really like him.
Yeah, he's come into the Premier League and done really, really well. So fair play to him. Nice goal as well. So fair play to Strand-Larsen. Fair play to Wolves. Another win that just keeps them going towards safety. Really big to get the win in this one because it could have easily been a game they dropped points. And now that's 2 wins in a row without Cunha. And now Cunha's back. So
apparently he's not back this weekend.
Is he not?
No.
Is it one more game?
Yeah, apparently so.
Okay, it's one more game afterwards. But you know what's big? We'll go into it, but they got Ipswich, so that's quite a big game. But yeah, look, fair play to Wolves. Really good win. They've actually done quite well in recent weeks. The last 5 games, 3 wins and a draw.
Yeah.
So really getting the results when they needed. So fair. West Ham, though, yeah, it just hasn't clicked yet under Graham Potter, it's fair to say.
Yeah, definitely. Forest against Manchester United next finished 1-0 to Nottingham Forest. He went for 2-1. I went for 1-0, so I get another 5-pointer going into this one. I mean, this one was obvious. It was always going to finish 1-0 to Nottingham Forest. But Man U did have their chances. They just didn't put them in the back of the net. But I'm just looking at the 2 centre-backs in Milenkovic and Murillo, and those are the 2 players that I mentioned before the game in the preview. And I was like, these 2 guys are just getting them through games at the moment. And what a partnership that these guys have. Maguire comes on in the latter stages of the game. I think he had the majority of the Man U chances, to be honest. He's got to be doing better with the chances that he had. One of them, a header, it goes nearer the corner flag than into the back of the net. And the other one, Murillo clears off the line, where if Maguire puts it in any other part of the goal, it's probably a goal.
Yeah, Maguire's chance in the last minute, that was more of a clearance than anything. What a chance that was. And look, they had their chances, Man United. 100% they had their chances, and they ended up fluffing them near the end. Bruno, I thought, actually had a really good game on this occasion. But
he's performing really well week in, week out.
Just got player of the month.
Bruno. Yeah.
So fair play to him. Pretty good performances over this month, Bruno. Maybe starting to really flourish under Amorim. But Forest just keep going, don't they? 3 wins on the trot now after they were stumbling. And now they've just gone 3 wins, really cementing themselves into that top 5. So they're now, if we're saying 5th is Champions League, they're 7 points clear of Newcastle. Yeah. So really in a good position. Although Newcastle have a game in hand, it seems.
Yeah, I can't see Forest throwing this away. They look too solid at the back. It's very hard to beat them. Because even if they pick up a few draws here and there, you know what I mean? I think that'll be enough.
Great goal by Langer as well. Ran the whole pitch
against his old team right at the start of the game. It's not what you want to see when you're going to the City ground, going 1-0 down early, because you know they can just defend anything. Look, so credit to Nuno, credit to Nottingham Forest, really good side, and I think Champions League football is going to be theirs to them next season. And what a story it is, you know, a former European Cup winner back in the Champions League next season.
It's a great story. It also makes other teams look at that and think what's possible, because they last season they finished 17th.
Yeah.
So remarkable their rise, and if they can do it, you know, and I don't think this is like a kind of Leicester-esque thing. I think they're a
natural good team.
They're I expect them to be declining next season probably, but in terms of they spent a lot of money, Leicester just came out of nowhere, they just survived relegation. Actually, it was pretty much a similar team that they survived relegation with, maybe plus Kante, that kept them that won the league. But this is they have invested heavily, and they have a lot of good players there. So it goes to show you make the right smart recruitments, this is what you can do.
And when they started spending all that money, everyone was like, "Oh, Marinakis don't know what he's doing. He's bringing in 20,000 players." is, well, who's laughing now?
Yeah, look at him, third in the league and doing brilliantly.
Yeah. Bournemouth 1, Ipswich 2. We both went for 3-1 to Bournemouth. What is happening with Iraola and what is happening with Bournemouth? Because they cannot get any results at the moment. Their form is completely dried up. Losing at home to Ipswich is a kind of really, really poor result. Credit to Ipswich, by the way, because they desperately needed these points. I thought they were good in this game. Liam Delap, I thought, had an especially good game. But, yeah, what's happening with Bournemouth?
1 win in 7 in all comps, and that win was on penalties at home to Wolves. So they are struggling. And the only draw was at Tottenham. So he couldn't even beat Spurs, which is an indictment. Ever since he's started getting heavily linked to the Spurs job, is he taking his eye off the ball? Do you reckon there's some of that? Or is it just a case of, are they running on empty with the high energy style he likes to play? We've seen it a few times when a few of these managers, they implement this style and then come the last bit of the season, they can puff out a bit. Yeah. Is that happening? Are the injuries are the injuries catching up to him? Because they've had a lot of injuries this season.
Yeah, those injuries kind of dried up ages ago. So I don't know if it's to do with the injuries. I don't know what I think they're just like running out of steam a little bit.
Yeah, in the Premier League, it's 4 defeats in the last 5, with 1 draw there as well, no win. They were once really not a shoo-in, but looking really likely for European football, and now they're 10th.
Yeah, but you're looking at it, right? I know Justin Kluivert didn't play this game, but you're looking at Semenyo, Utara, Kluivert, players that were really coming up trumps for them. They've all kind of dried up massively. The only one really that is impacting their attack and getting goals and stuff is Evan Nilsson since he's come back. So I feel like their attacking players are not really producing for them at the moment.
Yeah, I completely agree. So I think when it comes to Bournemouth, they're in terrible form, and it'll be interesting. What would be narrative on Bournemouth this season? They end up finishing bottom half.
What would be the narrative? I mean, I think that probably an expectation before the season. But
in terms of the job Iraola's doing,
yeah,
like, is he going to be up for top jobs if they end up crumbling to bottom half?
I think clubs will second guess it for sure. For sure, clubs will second guess it, and I think they'll probably want to see him have another season at Bournemouth and see what he can do before actually going for him. Like, for the Spurs job, right?
He's also lost to Bournemouth and Ipswich and Leicester.
I think for the Spurs job, I think if this carries on, if this is a little blip, then fair enough. But if this carries on for the end of the season, I don't think Spurs go for him.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of questions asked. But I still think he's a good manager, don't get me wrong. But it's the way they've kind of crumbling a bit at the end is kind of worrying for them. But maybe if you're a Bournemouth fan, it means you might be able to keep him for a bit longer. So it's weird how to feel about it.
Yeah, but he's in these contract talks. Bournemouth want him to sign a contract. Apparently he's huffing and puffing about it because of the interest in him. So maybe there is a bit of a thing about getting his head turned.
Ipswich, though, good win. Really good win. It was not easy, even though Bournemouth are in great form, to win there. And look, I'm not saying they have much of a chance, but the reality is their next game is Wolves. If they win that, they cut the gap to 6. Still a mountain to climb even at that point, but if they do win that game, give themselves a fighting chance at least.
Yeah, I can't see them beating them because I think Wolves just in such good form at the moment.
Is that Portman Road?
It is. Look, there's a chance. Of course there's a chance Ipswich can win the game, but I just can't see it.
After just beating Bournemouth, you never know.
Maybe.
Fair play to them. Great win.
But they've given themselves a little bit of a chance anyway by winning this game.
They need to go on a serious run, though.
Yeah. Brighton against Aston Villa finished 3-0 to Villa. Unbelievable at the Amex. Sim went for 2-2. I went for 2-1 for Brighton. Yeah, I mean, I was really shocked at this result. You're looking at the goal scorers for Aston Villa: Rashford, Marlon, and Asensio. What a signing Asensio has been, by the way. He's been absolutely brilliant.
Came on and got a goal and an assist, I think.
I know, and every single time he comes off the bench, he seems to do something. He's got such quality about him. You're looking at these 3 players. They signed all 3 of them in January. I can't remember a better January transfer window than Aston Villa's. 3 players that have come in and all, like Marlon, maybe not so much as the other 2, but Rashford and Asensio have all made such a big impact.
Yeah, they've done brilliant. And obviously I was surprised to hear there was Rashford's first Premier League goal because I thought he would have done more.
He hasn't started in the Premier League.
He's done cups
in
Europe in the cups.
Yeah,
and he's done quite well on those as well, hasn't he? So he's been a really breath of fresh air for Aston Villa. They've really missed that kind of pace on the wing since Diaby's gone. I feel like they kind of gave Philogene a run out for a bit, and hadn't done it.
He's gone now.
He's gone to Ipswich, and I think Rashford has really given that ejection that they needed. Asensio just added that little bit of creativity as well that they've been lacking. I think that Villa side before them two are really lacking in kind of goals and kind of firepower, and with those two, they've just added that little shot in the arm that they needed in the second half.
Them, hasn't
it? This season they were stumbling a bit. So great win. Brighton as well. Brighton, won brilliant form going into this game. So the fact they got absolutely annihilated, it was a bit of a tactical masterclass, I felt, by Unai Emery on this occasion. Did really well, just soaking up the pressure and then just hitting them ruthlessly. And when you got that kind of quality with Rashford and Asensio in the form that they're in, doing very well.
Yeah, they're building a really good side there. Pau Torres, Ezri Konsa at the back. I really like both of those centre-backs. I think Ezri Konsa is so underrated. I think he's a really good player. And you've got Tielemans and Kamara sitting in the double pivot. I think brilliant from them. And you've got Rodgers, who's had an unbelievable season. And Ramsey seems to be, bursting onto the scene as well this season. So they've got some top players there.
With Watkins on top of that. It can still go one of two ways. Villa's season. It's. I'll be very. Obviously, if you're
to win this game as well.
If you're a Villa fan though, it's like obviously you're excited with the team, but it could it's hard to know where it's going to go this season, because they could easily crash out of the Champions League next round, and then in the league they're still only 4 points off 10th, so it can go either way. But then again, they're only 4 points off 4th, so it can go either way. Can really go either way.
Well, they're at home to Forest this weekend, massive game. Then they go away to Southampton, home to Newcastle, and away to Man City. So some big games coming up for them.
In all competitions,
7 wins in a row.
Yeah, 7 wins in a row. Look at that. I didn't realise they're on such good form.
Yeah, but actually, if you look at their form just in the Premier League, it's not so great.
But still, within the Champions League and FA Cup, including that's still significant.
Yeah. But Brighton, on the other hand, going out the FA Cup, and now with a 3-0 defeat at home on the back of that brilliant form that they're on, if they've got any ambitions of European football next season, they need to go back on that form.
Yeah, they're still very much in the fight.
Yeah. Next up is Manchester City 2, Leicester 0. Both of us went for 4-0. Just a nice little routine victory for Man City. No Haaland, no problem. Marmoush obviously getting on the score sheet. Leicester, you didn't really ever think Leicester were going to do anything in this game. Yeah,
another game without a goal for Leicester. Another game where they just meekly succumb to defeat. 2 goals in the first half, and it was just easy does it kind of. Fair play to Jack Grealish, his first goal since 2023, I believe.
Wow.
So a long time ago. And he kind of commemorated the goal, said it was in memory of his younger brother, or his brother who passed away. So fair play to Jack. I'm happy for him that he got that goal.
When's the last time he started?
Yeah, a long time ago. Mamouche filling in. But yeah, look, I don't think Man City were overly impressive in this game. I guess
did enough to get the job done.
Yeah. Good. The story though, De Bruyne is set to leave Man City at the end of the season, end of an era.
Yeah,
for Man City, and
he's going to go down as one of the best midfielders that the Premier League has ever seen, if not, definitely one of the best midfielders, if not the best 10 the Premier League has ever seen.
Is that him done at the top level, do we think?
Yeah, I think he's going to go MLS, apparently.
His legs do seem to have gone a bit, to be honest, unfortunately. Some of his things, some performance I'm seeing from him, he's just not the same guy.
Yeah, absolutely. But look, what a career he's had. What amount of trophies he's won, He got nothing else to prove at the top level. No. So go, enjoy, relax, go to the MLS. He'll ball it out in the MLS as well. And that'll be that for Kevin De Bruyne. But Man City win. Leicester are all but down pretty much. But Man City, where does that leave them?
5th. Still, they're 1 point behind Chelsea in 4th and 1 point ahead of Newcastle in 6th. So it's still so tight.
Yeah. Next up, Newcastle 2, Brentford 0.
It was 2-1 actually.
2-1. It was 2-1. And we both went for 2-1 to Brentford because we thought Newcastle would be on the beach a little bit, or still kind of recovering after those trophy celebrations. It wasn't really like that, was it? I mean,
it wasn't a great
fairly well.
I mean, it took a massive slice of luck, didn't it, to get the win? Tonali's shot come cross.
That was no cross, mate.
You
That
reckon
was
it
a
was a shot?
shot.
You reckon he
That
shot?
was see how hard he hit that.
He did hit it very hard. Well, he said it himself. It was 70% cross, 30% shot. He said.
I don't know what cross you hit that hard though.
Yeah, fair. I mean, he said himself it was 70% cross.
Yeah, fair play. But I mean, I'm looking at it and the way he hit it, it just doesn't seem like
it did
cross.
look like it was a drilled shot, but
Yeah.
maybe he tried to drill the cross. I don't know, but
Maybe it was just a drilled cross that he got all wrong. I don't know, but it just seemed like too perfect to be a cross.
it's just well, whatever it is, it was 1 in a million. That's what it was. And, it was at the time when Newcastle were kind of struggling in the game, and Buemo just put away a penalty. It looked like Brentford were building up some momentum, and then Newcastle ended up getting the winner. So fair play to them.
Brentford were well on top when Tonali scored. I thought, Newcastle were the better team in the first half, and Brentford kind of came into the second half as they usually like to do. Like, how many times this season have you seen like Brentford being 1-0 down, and in the second half they just turn it on and can counter attack with the likes of Sade, Wissa, and Buemo, but yeah, just didn't have enough in this game.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Next up, Southampton 1, Crystal Palace 1. Sim went for 2-1 to Palace. I went for 3-0 to Palace. And Southampton were leading this game all the way up until the final stages of the game. And I really thought this was going to be 3 points to Southampton because they were the better team on the day. Crystal Palace were poor, really poor. And they just about got away with it.
Yeah, got a franker in the last minute with the goal, which saved Crystal Palace's blushes, especially with Palace, the form they've been on. You would have thought surely they're going to be going to this game with a lot of confidence. They'll take it to them and win the game. But Southampton deservedly got in the lead, and it looked like before the game, the manager for Southampton said, "Our goal is to not be the worst ever Premier League side this season." That's his goal.
Imagine having that as a goal. Like, come on,
that's
man.
his headed goal, and they nearly.
What else have they got to play
And they
for?
nearly did it. They nearly did it, but that last gasp equalised from Palace got to be a bit of a dagger into the heart in this one.
After seeing that performance, though, do you still think do you think that was their big chance, or do you think that they will do it?
Let me see what games they got left. That was definitely their big chance, considering they're 1-0 up. But they've got us, then they've got Villa, then they've got West Ham, Fulham. They do have Leicester, Man City, Everton, and Arsenal.
Beat Leicester.
If Leicester away,
They
got Leicester away. That's the only. I think they lose all the other one.
But you're looking at the way Southampton have been playing and the way Leicester have been playing. You think Southampton have been playing better?
Much better, yeah, for sure. For sure, they got a chance. They got a chance. But
you heard about Leicester, by the way, with Harry Winks.
What about it?
Ruud van Nistelrooy banished him from the squad because Winks wanted to go home. He lives in London still, and he wanted to go home. And Ruud says, no, you have to stay at the training ground for one night because they had to do something, whatever. And Winks went home, so he banished him from the squad.
Jesus, didn't hear about that. Bloody Winksy. Rebel Winks.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, I think it all comes down to that Leicester game, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right, Merseyside derby, Liverpool 1, Everton 0. Finished, Sim went for 3-1, I went for 2-1. I mean, the big talking point is Tarkowski, isn't it?
Wow, how was he not sent off? Oh, I was baffled that the referee didn't send him off. I couldn't believe it when the VAR didn't, and they looked at it very quickly and decided very quickly that.
So they look at that so quickly, and then the one at Tottenham.
Yeah, they're looking for 6 minutes, which is I know this isn't about Ange, but that's what Ange was like kind of getting on about, like the inconsistency, the VAR, and the time it takes, all that kind of stuff, and it was absolutely mind-boggling. The guy came in with such force. I know he got the ball, but he could have snapped McAllister's leg in half.
Easily.
It was a massive leg breaker. It was a horrible, horrible challenge, and he should have been sent off easily. It should have been an easy decision for the referee. I couldn't believe it. So that was a major talking point, and I think they massively got away with that one, Tarkowski and Everton. But a big moment in the game, Beto 1-on-1. If he sticks that in, maybe he makes things awkward for Liverpool.
When he hits the post.
Yeah, hits the post. Missed it, and then Liverpool go on and get the winner. Wasn't a great performance from Liverpool, was it? Again, off the back of some other poor performances of late.
They're playing poorly at the moment, Liverpool, but they've just got about that enough quality just to get over the line, even when they're playing poorly. So I think it'll be enough for them to win the league.
Are they going to? Is there a fear they might stumble their way to the title?
There's not a fear; it's a reality. I think they are stumbling their way to the title.
They got next Fulham away, then West Ham at home, then Leicester. So yeah, they
How
should
many
have
games
enough.
do they need to win?
So they're 4. So they're 12 points clear with 8 games to go. So they need another 5 wins, I guess, or 4 wins and a draw.
Well, they're definitely beating us. They're definitely beating Leicester. That's 2 games.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Arsenal will drop points as well.
And Arsenal are probably going to drop points. But other than that, they do actually have some hard games. They're Chelsea away. They do have Arsenal to play. Brighton away. Palace. They don't have a good record against Palace.
They'll draw against Arsenal.
But I think it's more to do with Arsenal probably not going to catch up with them.
Probably. But, yeah, I mean, it is worrying for Liverpool because the way they go out the Cups and the way they're stumbling towards the end of the season...
And also with the contract situations hanging over their head, Trent on his way to Madrid.
Yeah.
As much as it will be an unbelievable achievement for Slot to win the Premier League in his first season and like incredible, like still something's not right there in a way.
What do you think about this kind of reaction from Liverpool fans surrounding Trent Alexander-Arnold about going to Real Madrid? There's been a lot of probably vitriolic hate towards Trent Alexander-Arnold in this decision.
I can understand the hurt, especially given that they're just about to win the league. So if he's thinking about, I need to go to Madrid to satisfy my ambition, if you're a Liverpool fan, you're like, well, why can't you do it here? You know, we're just about to win the league.
But it's not about satisfying his ambition. What more has he got to do at Liverpool? He's won the Champions League. He's won the league. He's about to win the league again. He's won multiple other domestic trophies. Like, just because you come from Liverpool, does that mean you have to stay at Liverpool for the rest of your career? He's going to Real Madrid. He's going to the biggest club in the world. He's literally given Liverpool so much. So, I mean, I can understand they're upset about it, but for the vitriolic hate for one of your own like that, I think it's disgusting.
Some of the fans like photoshopping Conor Bradley in the Barcelona assist, saying, "Oh, what an assist by Bradley that was," and all these things, like just completely erasing him from the history of Liverpool, which I find
ridiculous.
Bizarre. I find all that bizarre, and I think that was all a bit ridiculous.
Like, look at for example, like Harry Kane, right? Spurs fans absolutely adore Harry Kane still. And I know it's a different situation and he had to move on to fulfill his ambitions and it's not exactly the same.
And we did get 100 million.
Yeah, but the money is the money. I mean, the money's got nothing to do with us, isn't it? The fans don't care about the money.
I think the fact that he's going for free is definitely a big part of it.
Right, if Harry Kane went for free, do you think Spurs fans would hate him?
I think a lot more would.
Nah.
Yeah, I think a lot more would.
I don't think so.
I don't think in general they would. I don't think every fan hates Trent. But I think there would be some, I think there would be some fans who would not be happy him leaving on a free.
Nah, I disagree. I don't see a reason why Spurs fans would hate Kane for leaving on a free. There's no reason.
Because he hasn't got any money for
the end of the day,
asset.
Not getting money is not down to Trent. That's down to the club. They could have sold him last year. You know what I mean? Like that's solely down to the club. It's got nothing to do with the player.
I agree with that. I know it's ridiculous the hate he gets. And I don't think it would be right to anyone to hate Kane as well. I'm just saying there will be fans who would.
I don't think so.
There would be. It's just that's the nature of fandom.
I just don't agree. I mean, I think the vast majority, maybe there'll be one or two, but the vast majority realise, with Harry Kane, for example, I'm talking about Tottenham fans here, realise what he gave to the club and his need to move on. Yes, I get it. With Trent, it's a bit different because there was no real need to move on. But what he's doing is he's going and fulfilling, the ambitions that he wanted to do in his career, and that's play for the biggest club in world football.
And maybe he just wants to try something new. You can't really begrudge a player for that. Maybe he doesn't want to be at the same club for his whole career.
But what he's given to that club and the trophies that he's won, I think it's disgusting from Liverpool fans for the way they're treating him.
I reckon he might be back there. I don't know if he's going to be the massive success he was at Liverpool at Madrid, because the way Madrid play with Mbappe, Rodrigo, Vinicius, they need really good defenders in that team.
Yeah, but you also look at it, right, next season it might be without Carlo, it might be with a different manager with different ideas, and they might play a completely different way. I
agree, it might be. I'm just saying that without front three, I guess Rodrigo does work really hard, but I don't know. I've got a feeling that for the Trent,
Vinicius works very hard as well.
Trent is a phenomenal talent. For me, the best right back, especially on the ball, one of the best we've ever seen, probably the best we've ever seen in history of the football. I would say in that position, he's so unique. But Liverpool kind of tailor their tactics around him. Will Madrid do that? That's the thing.
Well, you're looking at his ability on the ball. Look at what he's going to do for those attacking options. He's going to feed them in like no one's ever fed them before. It's going to be crazy to see that. And you're talking about, attackers that don't do their defensive duties. Look at Mo Salah. Mo Salah doesn't exactly do his defensive duties.
Yeah, and they've kind of compensated for that with that midfield, and maybe Madrid can.
And look at the midfield that Madrid. They got Camavinga in there. They got Tchouaméni. They got players like Bellingham who they
There's
all work
another player.
so hard.
They work hard, but with Trent, he's such a specific player. I just got a feeling that look, I'm not saying it won't work out, but I think it's going to take a bit of time to work out. And whether Madrid fans are notoriously impatient, I think it's not going to be. I don't think he will easily slot in there.
I think he's going to be an incredible success there. I think they're going to absolutely.
If
love
they're
him.
patient with him, yes. I reckon after 1 year, there's going to be a lot of people saying he should be sold.
Interesting. Hot take from Sim. Let's see what happens. But yeah, that's Liverpool. Let's move on to Chelsea Tottenham. Finished 1-0 to Chelsea. Sim went for 2-2. I went for 2-1 to Chelsea. So I get a point on the board. It was a poor quality game of football, wasn't it? Both teams not really performing well. Chelsea doing enough probably to get the win for sure. But yeah, the main talking point was the substitution from Ange to take off Bergwijn, who was Spurs' best player on the night. Big boos and chants aimed at Postecoglou. You don't know what you're doing from the away end. Sarr comes on. Sarr scores. Ange cups his ears to the away end and says, and then waves to them, being like, "Well, do I still not know what I'm doing?" And then 5 minutes later, the goal gets ruled out, and Ange has egg on his face.
Yeah, absolutely the most Spursy kind of series of events you could ever kind of wish to concoct. I think if a creative writer would have concocted that, you probably would have said that's never happening. But only at Spurs, that's how it is. It was a poor game. Chelsea got the win. Goal from Enzo Fernandez. Big win for them in the race for the top four and in the London derby as well to get the goal. They weren't overly impressive. It wasn't a game that showed me they're back on form massively, albeit they were better than Tottenham during the game and deserved the victory. Spurs will be left frustrated with another drab performance, and as well, they had a late miss at the end with Son, and he'll be annoyed that he couldn't turn that home, and that was probably their best chance of the game. But the big flashpoint was, the main talking was first of all the Ange thing, and also VAR on 2 occasions taking 5+ minutes to make a decision, which I think probably isn't spoken about enough, because I think both of them, just goes to show, I think Ange makes a good point when he says, it got introduced in 2019. We're now, 6 years down the road with VAR now, 5 years, and it's still taking 6 minutes and 5 minutes to make a decision. Like, when's it ever going to get better? Yeah, and if it is always going to be like this, then maybe there is a case like it's just not ready. You know what I mean? It should never be a case where it's taking 5 minutes. It's ridiculous.
I feel like the technology is ready. The technology is ready. It's just that the people implementing it has no clue whatsoever. You look at the 2 decisions, the Liverpool one and the Tottenham one. The Tottenham one takes 6 minutes to come to, and they do get the right decision. The Liverpool one, they flash it up quickly, and they get the wrong decision. I don't know what these guys are doing, and I don't know what they're looking at. These guys are supposed to be professional referees, like in the back end. I just don't understand how they can get things so wrong. The Liverpool one, and I don't understand how it takes so long to come to a right decision. Like, me and you could be watching this on TV, and within a few seconds,
I saw one replay. Yeah, it's a foul.
Yeah, and within a few seconds, right, we're saying that's what it is. But this one, they want to make a whole hullabaloo about it. 6-7 minutes wait. Ask the ref to go over to the monitor. All this madness. It's just ridiculous. I don't see this happening in any other league.
But actually, they sent them. The weird thing is, they sent the ref to the monitor pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And then the ref was there for like minutes and minutes and minutes, watching over and over again. Yeah. I just didn't understand what took so long. Just make a bloody decision. Well, you saw one replay and it's a foul. Move on. I think it was ridiculous. So there's a big discussion to be had about how 6 years down the line from VAR we're still taking this amount of time over decisions. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke.
It is a joke. But we do know that I know it's got nothing to do with this, but automated offsides are coming.
Yeah, which would have helped with maybe the first goal.
Yeah, hopefully. Potentially. But look, it is what it is. But 1-0 Chelsea. Spurs suffer yet another defeat this season. And let's move on to the star men. Sim went for Erling Haaland. Luckily for you, I didn't capitalise on it with Mateta.
Yeah, still, to waste your Haaland card like that is hard to take. But is what it is. What can you do? It happened. He's injured. Looks like he's going to be injured for most of the season. So, yeah, gutting.
Yeah, so we end this week on 286 to Sim, 313 to myself. The gap is widening. Not at this. This is not what you want at this point in the season.
No, it's not. It's not a great gap there. But it can shorten in 1 week, so never over.
All right, well, that is our review of the Premier League for this week. And yeah, that is a big gap going into next week, which we'll get into in a very short second.
All right, so we go into our previews.
Yeah, we will, when the assets are lined up. All right, well, let's get into our predictions for the big games this weekend in the Premier League. As you can see on the top left-hand side of the screen, 286 to Sim, 313 to me. Just a recap of how the scoring works. It's 5 points for a completely correct scoreline, 1 point for correct result. Star man, once you pick that man, you cannot pick them again for the rest of the season. 5 points for a goal, 2 points for an assist. Let's start off with 12:30 kickoff at Goodison Park. Everton against Arsenal. Both of us gone for 1-1.
Yeah, Arsenal losing Gabriel, still no striker, still looking a bit toothless up front. I know they got a couple of goals on the weekend. With Saka being back, there's a big boost. But Everton, just a bit more of that resolute and defensively solid, especially at Goodison Park. I think it's going to be a very difficult day for Arsenal. But are Everton good enough to fully capitalise and get the win? They're the draw specialists as well. So I see them making things difficult for Arsenal, but I don't see them just getting the win. So 1-1.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same. I feel like Everton at Goodison, very hard team to beat. I'm not sure if Arsenal are going to have enough going forward to really keep going and take the win. And I can see Everton maybe getting a goal from a set piece or something like that. But yeah, 1-1. Can't really see either side winning the game. Next up is Crystal Palace against Brighton. Sim's gone for 3-1 to Palace here.
Yeah, Palace have a thing they go up against Brighton, don't they? They like to play against Brighton, and it's a big derby. So I think they'll be well up for it. And I think after a poor performance against Southampton, they'll want a bit of reaction to that. I think they're really well suited to playing a team like Brighton as well. Sitting deep, being very good on the counter. The likes of Eze, Mateta, Sarr, I can really see. They won 3-0, I think, at the Amex earlier in the season.
Yeah.
Really good display. And I think at Selhurst, I think they're going to come to this with a really good tactical approach. And I think they're going to win 3-1.
Yeah, the last time Palace have beaten Brighton at Selhurst is 2018. A long time ago. It's been 5 1-1 draws in a row. And that is pretty much the only reason I went for 1-1. It's every time these two teams face each other at Selhurst, it's 1-1. I remember getting a 5-pointer last year for picking the same result as well. None of these two sets of fans go at it ferociously, and neither side are going to want to lose this. And both sides in their own right have the players that can go and win the game. But in this game, the two teams usually just cancel each other out. I know, Palace did really well at the Amex, but at Selhurst Park, it usually is a different kettle of fish. So I have gone for 1-1 going into this big M62 derby or whatever it is, M32 derby, whatever it is. But
M20, I can't remember.
The M25, it's not that.
No.
Ipswich against Wolves, big game down at the bottom. Sim's gone for 1-1. I've gone for 2-1 to Wolves. And on the back of Ipswich getting a really impressive result at the Vitality, and also Wolves getting a good result against West Ham, I just feel like it's going to go down to who has more quality on the day, and I think that is Wolves. I know Cunha's still out. I think his last game suspended, but Strand Larsen has really picked up the pieces since Cunha's been out, and I feel like he's going to be the difference maker in this one. So 2-1 to Wolves.
I got 1-1. I think it's a massive game for Ipswich. So it's basically do or die in this game. They have to win to give themselves any sort of opportunity to get a victory here. And if they don't, it's going to be very, very difficult. It's going to be nigh on impossible to stay up, I think. So they're going to go all out for victory here. But Wolves are a smart team. They know if they can get a draw, that's one step towards safety. So I think it's going to be a difficult game. They're going to have to weather a few storms, but I see them just about galvanising, getting themselves a draw here. So I've gone for a 1-1.
West Ham against Bournemouth. Both of us gone for 2-2. And it's two teams on really poor form going at it. And I feel it's going to, foster to a really open game of football with the way Potter plays, with the way Iraola plays. I think it's going to be a bit of an end-to-end game. Both teams going to just want to get that win and get that monkey off their back a little bit. And I feel it's just going to be a split score in 2-2.
Yeah, both teams not doing great defensively, although Arsenal, obviously West Ham went to the Arsenal 1-0, but I think overall they seem to be open still. West Ham haven't quite got to grips with how Potter wants to play, but Bournemouth really open at the moment as well, just conceded 2 goals to Ipswich and haven't quite been clicking in recent weeks and look a bit tired, so I agree. I see an open game, lots of chances, and Desmond.
Aston Villa against Nottingham Forest up next. Really difficult game to call this one. Both these teams on really good form. Villa on the back of 7 wins in all competitions. Forest flying high in 3rd in the division and playing very well in a tough team to beat. But Aston Villa are very good at Villa Park. No matter what their form shows in the Premier League, at home they usually do get a result, and I feel like this one will be no different. I think a draw, probably favours Nottingham Forest a bit more with where they're sitting in the league right now. Villa, if they've got ambitions to get into that Champions League spots in the Premier League, they need to start picking up consistent wins. So I think it'll be a frustrating day for Villa, but I can't see them breaking down Nottingham Forest too many times.
Yeah, I also see 1-1 draw, very close game, 2 very smart tactical managers trying to get the better of each other. I see maybe Forest scoring a goal from a corner or a set piece. I see Villa getting a moment with Asensio probably maybe off the bench to equalise, but I don't see too much between the sides, so I've gone for a 1-1 draw here.
Brentford against Chelsea, West London derby. Sim's gone for 3-2 to Chelsea.
Been a lot of goals at the Brent G-Tech Stadium, I think. Mainly at the beginning of the season, but
yeah, not of late.
I think Brentford, they've been quite poor at home recently, and I think Chelsea will be a bit buoyed by beating Spurs and winning that London derby. Jackson back in the side, I think, gives them a bit of a new lease of life in the front line. Palmer looked a lot better as well in that game, so I think Brentford will give them a great game, but I think Chelsea will come away with the win with the quality they have. So 3-2.
Yeah, I've actually gone for Brentford to win the game 2-1. I was not impressed by Chelsea whatsoever against Tottenham on Thursday night. However, Brentford, they kind of did concede against a run of play where they were getting back into the game and looking like they were the team that were going to go on and actually do something in that second half against Newcastle. So they did lose away from home, which was their first loss away from home for a while, and they have been losing at home for a while. So I feel like that form with Brentford, they're just a weird team where they're winning loads of games at home and losing loads of games away. Then they were winning loads of games away and losing loads of games at home. And now I think it's going to flip. And I feel like Brentford got more than enough quality to break down this Chelsea side with Wissa, Mbeumo, Sade, Damsgaard pulling the strings as well. So I feel like Brentford could win this game, and I've gone for 2-1. Next up is Fulham against Liverpool. Again, we've gone for the same scoreline here, 2-1 to Liverpool.
Yeah, I see it. I think Fulham are so smart usually in these kind of big games. I think it's going to be a bit of a struggle for Liverpool. But what I do know is Liverpool usually in the second half just turn up and get the job done. And even if they're not having a good game, they always have that capability of just turning it on. Slot is very smart, making some subs, adjusting to the game. I see it being maybe 1-0 to Fulham in the first half. And Liverpool turning it around in the second half and winning the game 2-1 with a few substitutions and a few tweaks from Slot. And I think Fulham will get undone in the end. So, and now take one more step towards the title. So I'm going for a 2-1 win to Liverpool.
Yeah, I think it'll be a difficult game for Liverpool. Playing against Fulham usually is. Silva just comes up with these kind of tactical tweaks to hurt the opposition. And I think this will be no different. I think Fulham have been a bit disappointing recently, in my opinion, but I think Liverpool have been even more disappointing with what they've shown all season. I think they're just stuttering through at the moment and just about getting over the line, and I think that will be no different. I think Fulham will be impressive, hurt Liverpool to a certain extent, but Liverpool just about to get over the line with a 2-1 win. Next up, we go to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Tottenham against Southampton. Tim's gone for 3-1. I've gone for 2-1, both in the favour of Tottenham Hotspur, and we just not have it. I just could not predict a loss or a draw for Southampton in this game. Spurs have got to win against a team that are losing week in, week out, albeit they just did get a draw against Crystal Palace in an impressive performance, which does worry me a bit going into the game. However, I think Spurs on the back, we beat them 5-0 so easily last time we played them. We just have to get over the line, and I feel like it won't be pretty, but we will get the 3 points.
Yeah, I think Spurs are making a few changes probably from the game against Chelsea where they obviously succumbed to another defeat. But I think Tottenham should really have enough at home to a Southampton side who are, I know they just got a draw and maybe they'll be buoyed by, but I do think that goal against them in the last minute will be a bit of a dagger to the heart there, because it was so close to achieving their goal of not being the worst side in the Premier League history. They were so close to it, it just got snatched away from them right at the death. And I think they'll be suffering a bit of the effects from that in this game. Tottenham should have enough quality here, even with a few changes. So I've gone for a 3-1 win to Spurs.
And next up, I think, is the Manchester Derby. What have we got in the Manchester Derby? So Sim has gone for
2-2.
You went for 2-2.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I went for 1-1. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. I think at Old Trafford, with the way Man United's set up, I think it'll be hard for Man City to break them down. Man City not really playing well at the moment. No Erling Haaland. Kevin De Bruyne is obviously on his way out, and yeah, I think Man City still have a few tools to hurt them, but I feel like just with the way Man United set up, and sometimes in these big games they can just about do something. So I feel like 1-1, and I do feel like with Bruno Fernandes they do have that X factor that can do something as well. So yeah, I just couldn't split the result. I think 1-1.
Yeah, I went for 2-2. I just feel like Man United have been a bit better in the bigger games, so under Amorim. So I think I can see them. They obviously beat them at the Etihad, albeit that was a very close game. I think it's going to be. I can see them really upping their game here at Old Trafford. Man City, obviously no Haaland, so that focal point is going to be struggling against three centre backs. But I think Marmoush is good enough to fill in there. And I wonder how the dynamic will change with no Haaland in this game. But I see Man United playing quite a smart counter-attacking game, but not having enough to win. So 2-2 draw here.
And last but not least, Monday Night Football. Leicester against Newcastle. Both of us gone for the same scoreline in 2-0 to Newcastle. Doesn't really need too much of an explanation, this one. Leicester struggling for goals, struggling for wins, struggling for anything right now, bereft of confidence. Is it a case to say that Ruud van Nistelrooy might go down as one of the worst Premier League managers ever with what he's showing with Leicester right now? Newcastle, on the other hand, got a good win against Brentford on the back of a cup win, and I think it will be just a routine victory for Newcastle.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'll be a comfortable win. I don't think they have to be brilliant to win and keep a clean sheet. I think they'll just do enough. They got over the line against Brentford, which was really crucial after winning the cup, to get back on track and not let this, because you've seen it. How many times have you seen it with teams who win the cup and they let the league season just fall away?
Yeah.
So I think that was so important to win that next game and show that they're still as motivated to get into the Champions League. And I think that should be enough to take that momentum into this game and win it 2-0. Leicester, can't see them scoring in this one. Vardy, I can't remember the last time he scored. I thought it was against Spurs, isn't it? So, yeah.
It's the last time they scored.
Yeah, so Newcastle, I think, will comfortably win this 2-0.
Yeah. So let's move on to the star men. Sim has gone for Big Dom.
Big Dom using the card. I think he will start against Southampton, so I think it's a good time to use
You're
it.
saying using the card like he's a guarantee. Like he's only scored 7 goals this season.
He's a card. He's a card against Southampton. They're all cards. You're using a Sade card.
Yeah, I'll be using Sade, and basically I was just going through the fixtures, and all the teams that I think are going to have big wins this season, I've pretty much used all their big players. I think Brentford have got it in them to get some goals against Chelsea, and I've used Mbeumo, I've used Wissa. Sade is the only one I haven't used. There is a chance that he doesn't start, to be fair, but he has been starting a lot recently, so I've gone for Sade. Sim's gone for Solanke. Let us know your predictions in the comments section below. Can Sim claw it back this weekend, or am I going to extend my lead? Let me know in the comments section below. But I think that is it. I think that is it from us today, guys. Nearly 3-hour live stream for you today, and a big revelation. Sim is officially ANGE out. Can you believe it? Let us know in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.